Yo, it's your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, back at you with a new video. Today is Friday, January 19th, 2024, with your boy Ryan and the Northwest Sports Fanatics. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button either now or on your way out. Donate to your boy if you can. Cash App, $ ORIONNWSF, or the YouTube Super Chat right here. Today's live stream is going to be an NFL playoff divisional round preview and predictions. We got 4 games over the weekend, 2 games starting it off tomorrow with the Houston Texans going to Baltimore and facing the Baltimore Ravens. The late night slate on Saturday night, they're going to be the Green Bay Packers versus the San Francisco 49ers. And then on Sunday, the early matchup, my Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to Detroit in the Dome to face the Lions. And then the last matchup will probably end up being the best matchup of the weekend, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Chiefs Kingdom going to Buffalo to face Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and we haven't done a freestyle stream or, a stream other than a game in a minute, but I figured I can end up watching the Nuggets and Celtics and any other NHL matchups that I can at the same time. Obviously, Odin's son with his Devils. I got the Nuggets and the Celtics on the side here as well. They're knotted up at 25, which is obviously the main matchup on Friday night in the NBA. Odin's son in the building. What's good? Sarah in the building. What's good? Let's get to 100 and donos. And again, I'll let, kind of the fans decide what direction that we want to go, based off stats, analytics, or, what we're thinking. And there's no set time limit necessarily for the stream. I figured that we would go for, maybe an hour or two. If we end up going 3 hours, great. It kind of just all depends on how many people we have in the room and where we are at goal. But I was thinking about an hour or two would be good while I end up watching the Celtics and the Nuggets. And then we can kind of go from there. And then obviously the first matchup, Houston and Baltimore. And I haven't decided yet how many games I want to do since I'm not going to have any rest in between. So pretty much on Saturday, 1:30 Pacific, that's going to be the Texans and Baltimore. And as soon as that game ends, then the next matchup is going to start with the Green Bay Packers and the Bang Bang Niner Gang, San Francisco 49ers. And the same thing is on Sunday. Tampa going to Detroit at noon Pacific. And then as soon as it's over, like literally, KC and Buffalo start at 3:30 Pacific. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do all 4 games. I'm thinking there's a chance that I could do all 4, and it has nothing to do with me, putting in the time and the energy and the work, because anyone knows me, I'm always going to put in that time and put in that grind. But also, I don't want to leave Paisley unattended, for 8 or 9 hours straight. So I'm thinking I'll probably watch Houston and Baltimore with Paisley. Then we'll do Green Bay and San Francisco Saturday night. And then we'll do 2 streams on Sunday. I got to do my Bucks, playing against the Lions. And then we got the best matchup of the weekend, in my opinion, which will be the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. So I'm thinking, as far as right now, that's what we're planning on doing. The only game that I may skip will be that first one tomorrow. But, depending on, how I feel, and I would have to obviously make both of those thumbnails late tonight or early tomorrow morning. But there is a chance that we'll do all 4. But I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Daniel in the building, Sarah in the building, Odin in the building. Yeah, well, I think, it would be kind of silly to pick the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hell, I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, but you don't have to apologize to me. Who says that I think that Tampa's going to win? Like I said, I'm not biased. Every other Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan will probably just say Tampa Bay because it's their team. But I don't think Tampa's going to win. I might rock the gear. Don't need to apologize to me. I don't got Tampa winning. Like I said, now if Tampa had Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, fly like a butterfly, sting like AB, and Bruce Arians, then yeah, even if we were the underdog and had a lower record and we were 9-8, 10-7, yeah, I would go with my Bucks. Even if I had slight hesitation, thinking, well, Detroit's at home. Even though their defense isn't very good. But, I think in most people's cases, Elliot in the building, what's good? I did see that Hater to the Stros with a big money deal. But I feel, and this is just me, not being biased. And again, most people that are fans of their team, Even Houston Texans fans would be hard pressed to be able to be like, okay, I'm a Texan fan, but I'm going to go with Baltimore. Or, I'm a Green Bay Packer fan, but I think the Niners. I'm a Tampa fan, but I think Tampa. I'm a Kansas City fan, but I think Buffalo. Like, if you are a fan, of the team that's on the road, most fan bases, would probably just go with the team that, that they root for. But if, and anything is possible. Like, I don't think it would be, honestly, if you really think about it, the Houston Texans ended up playing a team in the Cleveland Browns, right? I don't think a lot of people thought that Houston was going to win. So if CJ Stroud plays like he did against Baltimore, like he did when he played against the Browns, Houston's got a chance. And I know that, Baltimore and San Fran are both going to be close to 10-point favorites. But if CJ gets going early and often with Nico Collins, and then they kind of punch him in the mouth, maybe Lamar fumbles or throws a pick or two early, is it that crazy to think? Yes, I know CJ Stroud is a rookie, but he plays like an 8-year vet. So, I mean, is it really that crazy to think that if Houston, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, or Kansas City, if I'm not saying all 4 road teams are going to win, because that's not going to happen, but would it be that shocking if we ended up getting 1 or 2 of the road teams winning? And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Houston beat Baltimore based on how CJ Stroud is playing as of late. Should Baltimore win the game at home? Of course. They look like the best team in the NFL besides San Francisco. But remember, it isn't about being the best team in the NFL, right? What is it about when you get to the playoffs, when it's a one-game playoff, one and done, right? There's a couple factors that, are involved if it's a one-game playoff, right? It's not best of 7 like the NHL, the MLB, or the NBA. You can fuck up a couple times, up to 3 times, and win 4 and come back. So in a one-and-done scenario, is it likely Houston, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Kansas City win? Maybe Kansas City has the best argument because that one is the closest to being 50-50, right? But if Houston plays good defense and shuts down, Baltimore's running game, gets pressure on Lamar, it's a one-game playoff. Should Baltimore win? Yeah. Should San Francisco win? Yeah. Should Detroit and Buffalo win? Possibly, because they're at home? Yeah. But it's all about being hot, right, and being healthy. So we have to remember there's always going to be upsets in the first, wild card weekend round, right? As we go to the divisional round, there's less upsets. If out of the 4 games, you might get 1 if you're really lucky and it's an amazing year, maybe 2. But I'm not sure if we've ever seen 3 or 4 upsets, in 1 year. And then when we get to the NFC, AFC championship game, there's less and less upsets. But this might be the first year, where in a while, right, where you got a team like Houston, but they're playing kind of hot, right? And then you got Green Bay, and you could argue they're very hot, with Jordan Love and what he's been able to do. First part of the season, not so good, just like Tampa Bay. We went 3-1, hit a skid in the middle of the season, right? And then ended up picking up at the end. But, is it crazy to think, if Jordan Love finds a way to be able to maneuver with that San Fran defense and finds a way to be able to get 3 or 4 touchdown passes, most people think, he could do it to Dallas, but there's no way he could do it to San Fran. Why not? I might not be the biggest Green Bay guy, but that doesn't mean that Green Bay can't go in there in one game scenario, punch San Fran early in the mouth, or something happens to Brock Purdy or Run CMC where they twist an ankle or have a slight injury or something. You never know what could possibly happen. And then also with the Tampa Bay and Detroit matchup, Tampa Bay is not as hot as Green Bay, right? But the way that they ended up playing, against Philadelphia, they look pretty good, right? And obviously being on the road is going to be much tougher with Detroit. But remember, Detroit's defense isn't very good. So if Rachaad White can get going early and maybe they get a cheap touchdown to Evans or Godwin, and then the defense actually steps up and Tampa's defense plays better than Detroit, is it really that crazy to think of Tampa somehow, some way, even though the media will say Detroit, 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 which they should, right? But it's crazy to think, but Tampa could end up playing that game and winning, 27-25 or 27-24. Like, it could be one of those games. In no means do I see Tampa blowing out Detroit or Green Bay blowing out the Niners. You know what I mean? In that particular scenario, or the Texans blowing out the Ravens. But again, if you go back to the previous round, I don't think we really anticipated what we saw in that particular round. Did we see Houston putting up 45 on Cleveland? We didn't. Did we see Kansas City beating up Miami 26-7? I don't think that much of a beatdown, and then holding Miami to only 7. Did we see Green Bay putting up 48, almost 50 on Dallas's defense, and obviously on the road 48-32? And then the game that we knew that was going to be the best of the weekend ended up being probably the best, with the Detroit Lions beating the Rams 24-23. So it's going to be one of those it'll be fun. It's going to be interesting. And like I said, I don't think we're going to get many upsets. I would be shocked if we end up getting more than 2. But again, and once we get further along, there typically is less upsets. But when I'm looking, at the teams, and I'm looking on, the scenario, Baltimore should blow out Houston, by 10 points or more. San Francisco should blow out Green Bay, even as good as both of those teams have been playing. We obviously know Baltimore and San Fran, not only do they got a great home field advantage, their defenses are crazy, their crowds are going to be crazy. And then I think the Sunday games, that's where you might end up seeing an upset there. I'm not saying Tampa's beating Detroit, but I think that game might be a little bit closer than people think. Depending on if Tampa brings it. If they play, the Tampa football, they could end up making that game a little bit closer, even if they lose, right? And then the KC Buffalo, that is the hardest one to judge, because right off the gates, you can say Baltimore, San Fran, Detroit, easy peasy lemon squeezy. But can you say with confidence that Buffalo's going to win? Because they don't got a defense. Kansas City, obviously has a defense, but their offense isn't as good. But Buffalo's offense has been rolling. So is the advantage going to be this year that Buffalo is at home, not KC? Could be, and like I said, we could see that one, maybe being decided by a field goal. That one seems like it would be a very, very similar score. To me, it seems like it's almost identical to the Lions and the Rams in the previous round. I really think it may come down to whoever has the ball last may end up winning the game. But we'll have to end up finding out, how it all goes through. But let me go through the comments here real quick. And then anything that you guys want to touch on, if you want to go through, each piece, each game, however you guys want to do it, whatever you guys want, I'm here for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the thumb. I wanted to go all out for you guys, so I had a couple options. So let's see here. And I wanted to give you something, obviously, with the snowy background. And then obviously I got some other stuff mocked up as well, but I figured that I'd give you something with the snow. Like I said, since we're obviously in winter, we're starting to finally get a little bit of a thaw. I had to hit you with the Brock Purdy, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. And if I could have squeezed in a few more of the players, I definitely would have. But it looks like it turned out pretty good. But let's go through the comments here real quick. And let me acknowledge everybody. Sarah in the building, what's good? Daniel in the building, what's good? Elliot in the building, what's good? Hater to the Stros, man, that's a big money deal. I don't want to say that I was surprised by that big money deal, but it seems like they overpaid a little. But if he ends up being the good hater, that could end up paying dividends, especially when they're trying to catch up to the Texas Rangers now after the Rangers just won the World Series. Odin's son, he said Bills Chiefs could go either way. I'm taking Chiefs, of course. Ravens should stomp the Texans. As much as I like the Packers to kill the Niners, I don't see it happening in the Lions. I'm going. And I think a majority of America, whether, you have a favorite player, or, a kind of a vibe. But I think a majority of America, 90% are going for the home teams. They're going to go Ravens with no hesitation, Niners, no hesitation, Lions, no hesitation. And then that last one is the 50-50. But since the Chiefs offense has been kind of meh, all year, and the way that Josh Allen and the way that, that running back room, with Cook, he's been cooking, it seems like maybe this is finally the year that Buffalo has even the score with Kansas City, where Kansas City's offense isn't as good. Buffalo's offense right now seems like they're a little bit better. Buffalo's defense has a lot of injuries. Kansas City's is the better defense, but still, they're at times, Kansas City, not last week, but, in the season, they have their moments where sometimes they look very, very good, like a top 5 defense. Hell, sometimes they look like top 3. But other times in other quarters and other games or other halves, they look like maybe a top 15 defense. So it's going to be very interesting to see, if the Chiefs bring, that top 5 defense. Because if that top 5 defense joins, maybe that top 15 offense this year instead of being like top 10 or top 5. Obviously, we know with the drops and all those issues. But again, once we're in the playoffs, they may not be going to some of those other receivers that had those, problems with the drops. So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be, obviously the line of scrimmage, being controlled, time of possession, obviously turnovers, but I'm very interested to see on how those end up going. Big facts. And again, I think this is the one that a lot of people have a hard time choosing. And again, I think more people would go with the Chiefs, no doubt, if the offense was better this year. But since the offense has been a little lackluster and the Bills offense looks like it's been a little bit smoother, that's why I think with the Bills fans, this is Josh Allen's time. This is Josh Allen's moment. The Chiefs have had their time. They've had their moment. Do they deserve to keep advancing and moving on as long as that defense plays good, for sure, but again, if they were to slip this year and lose, would anyone really be that shocked? I don't think so. Even Kansas City Chief fans, I think, understand this is the weakest team that they've had in a long, long time. And they know that as long as they get to the dance, they're going to have a chance. But if you actually look at the, confidence, like if we had like a bar of confidence, most Chief fans, regardless if they want to admit it or not, they don't have that confidence level as a 10 like they did every other year. I feel most people are around an 8 right now, where they're still confident they can go on the road and win because they got Mahomes, they got Kelsey, they got Pacheco, they got Andy Reid. But also, too, it makes you kind of wonder, what are you going to get out of Nagy? What are you going to get out of the other wide receivers if they decide to go someone other than Rice or other than Kelsey at tight end? What are you going to get there? And is the defense going to play exactly like they did last week against the Miami Dolphins? Or are they going to give up a little bit more? And is Josh Allen going to use his legs? And is that going to be the X factor in the game? Which it may possibly be. But we already know Kansas City's defense is going to be a little bit better than some of these other defenses that Buffalo has matched up with in the last couple months. Big facts. Anthony in the building. Raiders. And like I said, I feel that, as far as the hires are concerned, I wasn't surprised. Pierce deserved to get the job. He had a good vibe with Crosby and Devontae Adams. You could tell that there was an uptick in their performance. So why wouldn't you give the job to someone like that? That's the perfect scenario for an interim guy to come in, but you can tell it's more than just a game or two. Like, he actually did a great job motivating them and actually getting them to play hard the rest of the way. Did they win every game the rest of the way? No. And is he going to end up being the guy long term? We don't know. But I would say give him a 3-year deal, give him 2 years, see what he can do. And then if you feel he hasn't made enough progression in those 2 years, fire him, move on, go somewhere else. But I think he deserves at least, like a 3 to 5 year deal, and then have him for 2 years. And after that second year, or third year, if he doesn't end up making the wild card and you don't see progression, like the win total slowly getting better, going from 8 to 9 to 10, and then you want to make a change, fine. But it's one of the first, interim coaches in a long, long time that's been rumored that could get the job. But this is the first time, in my opinion, that it's actually deserving of the job. And that's why you haven't heard anybody on the Raiders complain. You haven't heard any fans from other fan bases complain or say, oh my God, I can't believe you guys are hiring the interim. And you know why that is? Because he's the right choice. And you can clearly see it. If you are genuine and you're honest and you're ride or die and you're passionate and you're straightforward, you know what I mean? And they believe in you, and you're a former player, again, they're going to ride or die for you, just like Dan Campbell. And I see kind of some similarities in Antonio than I do in Dan Campbell. Maybe not as intense as Dan Campbell 24/7. I seen him ramp it up on the sidelines, but I definitely think it was the right hire. And in my opinion, that would have been the only choice for the Raiders, at least short term moving forward. Congratulations on your new coach. What do you think about your new coach, Anthony? You like it? You don't like it? I don't think I've heard anybody complain about it. And again, there's going to be Slovic. There's going to be Johnson. Those are going to be probably the 2 top guys that are going to be looking at the Seahawks and these other teams, not including Bill Belichick and Harbaugh and those other guys that might be out there. But I really do like that move, Pierce, for the Raiders. Let's go, baby. It isn't. You know what I mean? Like, I know our team isn't very good. And we obviously thought Green Bay wasn't very good. And we're both 9-8. But if you really look at the teams, how have they been playing? And the thing is, it's more likely the Bucs to lose, and Green Bay will probably lose but play better than people think, just because Jordan Love has been playing so well. You know, and again, Jordan Love and CJ Stroud, they look like they're the future of the NFL, you know, obviously in the AFC and the NFC respectively, you know, as far as young quarterbacks. So it may be a year early, you know, for Green Bay and the Houston Texans. But again, in a one-game playoff, anything can happen. All you have to do is have one bad quarter, you know, if you're the Baltimore Ravens or the San Francisco 49ers, one bad quarter, you know, and then the game's over. You know, there one bad quarter, CJ Stroud could put up 17, you know, a couple touchdowns and put him in field goal, range. Same thing, you know, obviously with the Niners, Jordan Love could go off, Aaron Jones, and then boom, go into some of his wide receivers. So, you know, I don't know if we're going to end up having history made. You know, history usually repeats itself, but also history is meant to be broken. So, you know, don't be surprised if we end up getting an upset or two. Now, if we end up getting 3 upsets, then it's going to be a very, very big special year, you know, but you never know. That's why we watch this game. We love this game because it's the most equal league out of the 4 major sports between the NFL, NHL, NBA, and the MLB. You know, it's very, very hard to predict, and there's a lot of bettors that lose millions of dollars year in and year out because, you know, like I said, the NFL is so hard to predict, especially when we get further along. You know, regular season is one thing, but playoffs, is another thing as well. Big facts. Conspiracy in the building. He said, I got Bills winning the next 2 games and the Niners getting the Super Bowl as well. San Fran 27-19. So you got the Bills beating the Chiefs, and then you got the Bills beating who? The Ravens? And then how are the Bills defense? How are they going to be able to win the next 2 games? You know, with the defense. You think that the offense is just going to be able to do just barely enough where they're going to be able, because you might be able to say that with the Chiefs, but if you go against the Ravens, something's going to have to happen with special teams or the defense for the Bills to beat the Ravens if that ends up being the case. Interesting pick, you know, and it is a little, if the Bills actually had their defensive players, I think I would be more on board with the Bills. And like I said, I think the Bills and Josh Allen are going to have their chance, you know, to get to the Super Bowl in the next, 5 or 6 years. But with the defensive players with Tre'Davious White and, Von Miller and Matt Milano and some of the key pieces, on the D line, I don't know if that defense is going to be good enough, let alone to get past KC if they do at home. And then if they have to play Baltimore, if that's who you have beating them, how the hell are they going to end up beating Baltimore? It would have to be, Baltimore would have to throw a pick 6, maybe have a fumble for a touchdown. Maybe Buffalo gets a special teams touchdown, but there would have to be something extraordinary on the Buffalo defense or special teams to give them an advantage, especially beating Kansas City and then beating, Baltimore if conspiracy's theory ends up coming true. I mean, but even with that being said, could it happen? Oh, yeah. I mean, we could definitely get a Niners-Bills Super Bowl. The way that Josh Allen and the way that James Cook have been cooking, I don't got any worries about the OC after they fired Dorsey and brought in Brady. I got no worries about the offense. Josh Allen has been awesome, but the defense worries me tremendously. So I feel it's like you're going to be going tit for tat, back and forth. So, unless they end up getting some big plays on the defensive side of the ball or special teams, not sure if they're going to be able to get that far. Now, if they can be healthy next year, then, we'll see. But it would be a very surprising outcome with a team that has Josh Allen, right? Diggs, Gabe Davis, Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid, all those guys, and that's not really to have a defense and then to make it all the way to the Super Bowl, even if they weren't going to lose. But again, defense wins games, defense wins championships, but also you would be going against 2 of the top, 5 or 6 defenses in the Chiefs and the Ravens. Josh Allen would have to play like the fucking, Hall of Fame, type of numbers, to be able to get past those teams. That would be like Josh Allen would have to probably throw for 3 or 4 touchdown passes in both games. And I'm not sure if he can do that. I mean, it's possible, but then he would be rewriting his narrative altogether if he were to do that. Like imagine if he played against KC and went 3 touchdowns, no picks, and then played Baltimore in the AFC Championship game and went 4 touchdowns, no picks. Then we can't make fun of Josh Allen throwing picks and double, triple coverage and criticizing him anymore if that were to happen. But that's a ballsy pick, but I definitely could see that could be a possibility. May not be the most likely possibility, but it could be a possibility. Nice. By conspiracy, I see you. Ravens, Lions, Super Bowl would be awesome. Ideal matchup is Bills, Niners. And then that's another thing with the Lions. You know, what's holding them back from maybe being more of the favorite to get to the Super Bowl? They don't got a defense. Their defense, I'm trying to think about whose defense is worse. The Lions? Lions defense is worse, or is it the Bills defense? They're both terrible. They're both not good. You know, and so we'll find out real quick, you know, if the defenses can step up, you know, but if you're looking at all the teams overall, you know, the Lions defense is not good. So they're going to be going back and forth with points as well. And they're going to need a little bit of help on special teams or that defense to be able to surprise some people. Big facts. Ravens, Lions would be interesting. For me, you know, obviously, if you're looking at ratings and whatnot, the best ratings by far is going to be the one on the left and the one on the right. As you can see on, you know, my background and my thumbnail, it's going to be Brock Purdy going against Lamar. That's going to be, you know, the most exciting matchup. That's going to be the matchup that they match up the best. Offense, defense, special teams, coaching as well. And also Baltimore, you know, beat the brakes off the Niners already. So this would give them an opportunity, you know, to get payback. So, or Baltimore just wins 2 times in a row, and then the narrative changes with Lamar, and we can't really put Lamar in that same category as being a, you know, top 7 quarterback. We may have to start acknowledging Lamar as a top 5 quarterback, possibly for the rest of his career, especially if he ends up going all the way and winning the Super Bowl. Big facts. So you want Ravens, Lions, but your ideal matchup is Bills, Niners. Interesting. Oh, I did see that. Judah in the building. Judah, what's good, my boy? How are you? And that's why, like in fantasy, when I had Mahomes, like I couldn't really trust him. And Mahomes only puts up like a touchdown pass. Like in years past, it was 2, it was 3, it was 4, it was 5. And that's what makes me nervous about Kansas City. I believe in their defense. You know, I love L'Jarius Sneed. I love Chris Jones, you know, Willie Gay, all the pieces that they got. They're a nice, cohesive unit. You know what I mean? But that offense, though, you know, it's like, you know, Pacheco, I love him, right? Rice, you've been playing great. Kelsey, you may not be the number 1 target anymore. Maybe they're going to go more Pacheco and Rice, and Kelsey might be the 3rd option, you know? But just the fact that Mahomes and the drops and some of the overthrows and the underthrows, you know, it makes it hard to be able to be like, yep, Kansas City, you know, we did that in years past. But there is a lot of doubt because how Pat hasn't shown that he can really throw for more than 1 touchdown pass that often. If you go back and look at his numbers, a lot of his games were 2 touchdowns or less, and a lot of them were like 1. And that's alarming. And I don't think you're going to be able to win the game against the Bills with 1 touchdown pass. Because if you get 1 touchdown pass, chances are he'll get 1 pick, you know, right? And then you're going to have to rely on Pacheco getting in the end zone or a running back, you know, or like Rice on a jet sweep or something of that nature. You're going to have to rely on the running backs or maybe the defense, you know, or special teams getting you a score to get that number up. So definitely a lot of concerns, and I know most Chief fans are still confident, but this is probably the most worried that they've been. And again, you don't have home field advantage. How good is Kansas City going to be? We already know Kansas City can win at home in Arrowhead, right, with the Chiefs' kingdom. They have never been on the road like this in this type of scenario. So this might be a little bit too much for them to overcome. Now, if their offense was the same as years past and the defense is the way that it is, no worries. They could still get the job done on the road. But again, even though Buffalo's defense is suspect, you might have to give at least the edge going into the game, you know, to Buffalo. You know, so, you know, I'm not sure if the Niners, Ravens are going to win by the 9.5 and they're going to blow them out in those first 2 games. But I think, like I said, Sunday's games with the Buccaneers and the Lions, and also with the last matchup, Buccaneers and Lions, and then the Chiefs and the Bills. Had a brain fart there for a second. Those should be the closest matchups where it could be Tampa Bay, Detroit should be somewhere between 3 and 10 points. Kansas City and Buffalo seems like it could be 3 to 6 points, to me, but probably closer to the 3 to 4. And then obviously if Jordan Love and CJ Stroud play well, not only could they end up making it a lot closer than people think, they could win. If CJ plays like he did last week, they could win. If Jordan Love plays like he did last week, they could win. And I think it's the first time that we've had underdogs that a lot of people are like considering. It's like, yeah, I don't know if they can do it. But the way that CJ Stroud and Jordan Love have been playing, you got to think it's not about who the best team is in the regular season, Baltimore, San Fran. It's who has been hot and who has been healthy. And I'm not sure who's been hotter than Houston and Green Bay in the last couple of weeks. So they definitely have a chance. And honestly, all 4 teams on the road have a chance. And that might be the first time in years that we've ever said that. Even if Baltimore is a 9.5 favorite, even if San Fran is a 9.5 favorite, they're just assuming that they won't be able to get it done on the road. And chances are they won't. But again, one bad game, one bad quarter, one bad half by San Fran and Baltimore, and then all of a sudden you're going to be looking up at the scoreboard just like Cleveland was and Dallas was and some of these other teams and saying, what the hell happened? And you ran into a monster that got hot at the right time. So big facts. Yeah, that's crazy. And that's like a staple for them, always putting up like 30. Big facts. Well, let's be honest. Last week, we had one good game out of 6. Was the Rams and the Lions. I thought we only had one good game. All the rest were terrible. They weren't good. None of them were competitive. So we might still get 2 blowouts on Saturday, but we should have 2 really good games on Sunday. And hopefully, for the fans' sake, Jordan Love balls out, right? CJ Stroud balls out. So even if you're not a Texan fan, and even if you're not a Packer fan, we want to be able to see the second coming of, future superstars. We don't got Peyton Manning anymore. We don't got Tom Brady anymore. We don't got Ben Roethlisberger anymore. So I'm kind of ready, even if I might not be the Packers supporter, I might not be big on Jordan Love, right? But that doesn't mean I'm going to hate on him if he's playing well. If he's playing well, I'm going to give him the kudos. Big facts. Buffalo, Niners, Ravens, Lions. So you're just going for all the home teams, so no upsets, which is pretty much what 95% of America is going to select. So I think the Texans can beat the Ravens. I'd bet on that over Packers or Bucks winning. Calvin in the building. What's good? He said, go Bucks. Go Saints. Why aren't you there? You should be there instead of me. Should be the Nyland Saints for you and Elliott. All right, Calvin. Calvin, we know, likes to break down tape and is very critical of the Saints, and he calls it how he sees it. So tell me why you have no faith in the Ravens. Is Lamar Jackson Fugazi? You think that, when the big moment shines that he's going to fail? You think the defense is not going to be able to shut down CJ Stroud? Are you more of a believer in CJ Stroud than you are in the Ravens? What makes you not a believer in the Baltimore Ravens? I'm very curious to see what Calvin has to say. And then let me know if you guys want to have the background music on in the background while we do the show or not. I don't really care. So if you guys want it, just say so. If not, then we can leave it off. Let's do it. Your boy doesn't want to eat air or fingernail sandwiches for dinner. Let's go. All right, we got to 10. Let's get to 20, baby. He said, just need the Chiefs and the Niners to lose. So who do you think it's going to be Texans? So you think it's going to be Texans, Packers, and then what? Tampa and then Buffalo? And you know what the crazy thing is? He said all of them. He's like, he just wants chaos. You know what the really crazy fucking thing is? The craziest scenario. If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers find a way to beat Detroit by a point, 26-25 or whatever it may be, and Green Bay ends up shocking San Fran, 27-23, and it ends up being the Bays in the NFC Championship game, which we were supposed to get, right? a couple of years ago when they had Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady, but we never got that matchup because obviously we know what happened and with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? But with that being said, if Tampa beats Detroit and Green Bay beats San Fran and the two lowest teams with 9-8 records win, Tampa Bay Buccaneers would actually host the NFC Championship game in Tampa over Green Bay because we beat them early in the regular season for the tiebreaker. Could you imagine Tampa Bay being one game away, going to the Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield at home? That would be crazy. That would be absolute chaos. And then obviously if it ended up being Buffalo and the Texans, that would just be crazy. CJ Stroud versus Josh Allen, that would be awesome. And then obviously I don't think a lot of people would want to see Green Bay, Tampa Bay. They would want to see San Fran, Detroit. But obviously you'd have to pick a side if you're a Green Bay lover or if you're a Green Bay hater. And then I would assume if Green Bay played Tampa Bay, I would assume most people would go Green Bay. Because if you ended up beating San Fran, that's going to be more of an impressive win than Tampa beating Detroit. And even if Tampa's at home, and even if we beat them earlier in the year, I think a lot of people would probably be saying, oh, Green Bay. Could you imagine Green Bay or Tampa Bay making the Super Bowl with a 9-8 record? That would be absolute fucking chaos. And I guess that's what Calvin Griffin, he wants the chaos. That's wild. That is wild. You love AP? Yeah. And like I said, you could already tell right away, that the players love him. Max Crosby, Devontae Adams, they were sulking. They didn't like what was going on. And, it makes you, realize when you see someone that's passionate, real, and that is, straight up and you can see like there's an emotional change. And of course, you're going to get an emotional change when you get rid of Josh McDaniels, no matter where he's at head coach. But also on top of that after the initial honeymoon phase wore off, after McDaniels, see you later, and then they brought in the interim. A lot of interim coaches will get wins in the first couple weeks, and then they kind of fade, right? And even though that the Raiders didn't win every single game after the firing, you could tell they played harder throughout the rest of the year, and that's really what it is. It's about effort and finding a good fit, and I think that he does deserve to be the coach. Obviously, 5-4 record, you would have liked it to be a little bit better, but you also have to look at the personnel. You don't have a whole lot on defense besides Max Crosby. Chandler Jones lost his mind, CTE, right? And then on the offensive line is dog shit. There's nothing there besides Colton Miller. So with that being said, to go 5-4 with no O-line and no defense, that's pretty good. So I feel that hopefully Pierce can, get a 3 to 5 year deal. They give him 2 to 3 years to try to get to the wild card. And then if you decide that he's not the guy, fine. But I think he deserves a minimum of 2 years, and see where he can go. And as long as he's improving, like let's say, year one, let's say 8 wins. And then year 2, 9 wins. You don't fire him and then wait for that third year to see if he can get to 10. And then if he does, keep him. If not, then you can, let him go. But you have to look at it like that. As long as you're getting steady progression, even if it's only a 1 game improvement. But I mean, for Raiders fans, to go from 8 to 9 to 10 and seeing a light at the end of the tunnel and actually making the playoffs, that would be huge. So I know that's really what the Raiders want. You need to be able to get the coaching firmed up, right? But most importantly, you got to build that O-line and you got to build that defense and you got to have scouts and you got to have personnel in that war room that know football. So that way you can actually draft and bring in the right free agents to turn that ship around. Big facts. Right. And remember this, as long as you're doing bad, right, you're going to always have a 3rd place or 4th place schedule. So by the time you end up getting to that 2nd year or 3rd year, you should be able to take advantage of booty teams like Tampa and the Saints and the Falcons and the Panthers. So whatever year that you guys end up playing the South, you might be able to squeak out a few more wins depending on what you did to get to that point. Obviously AFC South and the NFC South were kind of, bottom of the barrel. And now the NFC South is the worst. And the AFC South really only has one bad team now with the Titans. And then now you got the Colts, right? And you got the Jags and you got the Texans kind of on the up and up. And I'm hoping at some point we're going to have Tampa, the Saints, and the Falcons on the up and up. And then the Panthers are just going to have to wait, until Bryce Young, if they decide that, he's the guy and they can get the right GM, right coach, right owner, right free agents, right draft pool, right draft picks or not. So we'll figure it out, but we'll wait and see. I don't see Jim Harbaugh or Bill Belichick being a fit with the Falcons. Not whatsoever. Lamar is the Charles Barkley of the NFL. Explain. I might have to put music on for this one. All right, hold on. We might have to have some background music for this. All right. Lamar is the Charles Barkley of the NFL. I need you to explain. Further explain yourself, please. I want to know, what do you have against the Ravens and Lamar after playing so good during the regular season? I'm very curious. Kevin in the building, what's good? Said Bill's game going to come down to the kickers. That Bass is trash, Butker is money. Yeah, it could end up being whoever has the ball last in that game. And to me, out of the 4 games, that one is the closest. Second closest should be Tampa Bay and Detroit. And then third closest, you would assume, I don't know. What would be close? Houston and Baltimore or Green Bay, San Fran? I guess it just depends on if CJ Stroud or Jordan Love, if they play like last week, things could end up being much, much closer than people think. And it's not like I expect Green Bay and Houston to put up 40, against these elite defenses. But if Green Bay and Houston put up high 20s, they can win the game. That's a big fact. That might be what it takes for them to be able to win, is if Green Bay and Houston can get into the high 20s, they might be able to win. Let them know. Let them know. Hybrid Ravens flock in the building. He said, we haven't seen Lamar in the playoffs in 3 years, and he's got the right talent around him, and he's ready. Just watch. And we might be able to get Mark Andrews at some point. It doesn't look like he's probably going to play this weekend, but if he ends up playing in the AFC Championship game, or they may not even need him. You could maybe just wait to the Super Bowl if they end up advancing and getting to that point. So, but again, remember, defense wins games. Defense wins championships, right? And who's got the best defense left out of the 8 teams that are left? Kansas City, right? That's one. San Francisco, that's another. And then the Baltimore Ravens. So obviously we know we don't got the Cleveland Browns, and even though their defense was highly rated, they were able to find a way to expose Joe Flacco. So Ravens, Niners, Chiefs, those 3 teams got the defenses. Houston defense is, I would say, above average. Green Bay, their defense has been playing above average. Tampa Bay, I would say their defense is below average. And then I would say Buffalo's defense and Detroit's defense are bad. I would go that route, You might even put Tampa Bay's defense in the bad category too. Tampa, Detroit, Buffalo, bad defense. But every once in a while, they'll have like a good quarter to make up for the bullshit that they gave up in the previous 2 or 3 quarters. Don't think the Ravens got what it takes to win in the playoffs, and until I see otherwise, I'm not convinced. So you're pretty much doing it based off like the Dallas Cowboy method. Like until you actually see it, you're not going to believe it. So until you see the Cowboys end up winning more than a round against a shitty team like the Bucs last year, you're not going to be able to believe Dallas can make it, to the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl. And then the same thing is going for Baltimore, even though they don't have a Mike McCarthy over there. And so what do you think is going to be the Ravens' bugaboo? Is it going to be their defense doesn't play well against CJ Stroud, or Lamar is going to turn the football over? What is going to be the thing that's going to make the Ravens struggle in your mind? Lamar is going to throw picks. Lamar is going to fumble. They're going to minimize Lamar, with the running game. Like, what is the factors? You're going to get into press coverage, and you're going to force a tipped interception, and you're going to be flying around. Like, what are the things that make you feel that? I'm very interested to see what you think. But it's not like the Ravens are going to the playoffs every single year and fumbling the bag year in and year out like the Cowboys. So I see what you're saying, but it's not like the Ravens have flopped, and then now they're here. Elliot, he says, Pete Carmichael is gone. I guess we have to deal with another year with at least Dennis Allen. You got to get rid of Dennis Allen, too. You guys got a clean house. That's why I was kind of surprised when I was talking with Reflect too. Kind of surprised that they didn't clean house with Schneider and Pete Carroll and just go brand new regime at the same time. And even Reflect says that maybe Schneider has a silver tongue, because obviously Schneider and the Jody Allen group want a rookie quarterback to compete with Geno, and that's why maybe Pete was booted out. So, I mean, still part of the organization, but not head coach. Buffalo, Tampa, which would be the most chaotic-ish ever. But what I want to see is Texans, Lions. Oh, you're talking Super Bowl. Oh, my God. That would mean that Green Bay and Tampa Bay would both win, and then Tampa would beat Green Bay to go to the Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield. Unbelievable. And then Buffalo would be beating Kansas City, and then Buffalo would beat the Ravens in your mind. And then Texans and Lions. So you're just going ultimate chaos. Aiden in the building. He's at Miners and Ravens. Well, which is what 99% of America is picking. So if the Super Bowl was the Texans and the Lions, they would both find a way to lose. Like they would tie. Oh, shit. That's funny. Doug Moreau needs to go. Loomis needs to go. Yeah, everybody needs to go. Devils winning 4-1. Nice. Yeah, I messaged Odin's son early in the day to see if he would be able to come through. And then I just decided instead of doing an NBA game, I would do a preview. We haven't done one of these streams in a minute, and I figured it'd be a little fun to do it, and hang out with you guys for a little bit. And then I'll have to decide if I do all 4 games. I'll tell you what, when I ended up doing Michigan, Alabama, and then Washington, Texas with 9 hours straight, I was fucking exhausted. So if I end up doing that, I mean, on Saturday, I don't know if I would have enough energy to do back-to-back on both days, especially with no rest in between. Like if they did one game at 10 a.m. and then another game at 5, I would be able to manage a little bit better, because then I could take Paisley for a walk. I could relax a little bit, rest my voice. But in both matchups, it's like bing bong, 9 hours straight. So it's like, and I'm not opposed to doing it. But again, also too, if I'm trying to calculate this and be smart about it, I don't want to spend an hour making a thumbnail and then doing the Ravens and Texans and hitting a 0 on donos. That would piss me off, and that would be a waste of my time. So, so we'll have to kind of wait and see, what we decide to do. But right now, it looks like we're going to be doing 3 games. We'll end up doing the late game. We'll end up doing Green Bay, San Francisco. And then since Tampa is in the playoffs, it would be, it would be a disaster for me not to at least, root on my team, even though we're going to be heavy underdogs. And you never know. Tampa could win. It's not likely, but they could, and so we'll do Tampa and Detroit, and we'll do KC and Buffalo. And I thought it was a little ironic, obviously on my YouTube channel, the main video that I've had posted for quite some time is that creamsicle matchup of the Lions and the Buccaneers, a little ESP months in advance. And who would have thought that Tampa and Detroit would have met into the playoffs, but here we are. She said, please. She says, we don't want O-Dog to eat air and fingernails. I thought 2024 was going to be better for us. 5 more likes to 20. Let's get it, baby. Yeah, but one thing that the Ravens have that they never had prior with Lamar? Roquan Smith. And when you got a guy like Roquan Smith, and obviously with some of the players that they ended up drafting with the last couple years as well, you have to understand that it seems like, I don't know. I mean, we'll find out. We'll find out, if they end up, stepping up and being a little bit better than people think. But this is going to be a real question, moving forward with like Pierce, with Clowney, Owe, right? Madubuke, right? Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, Kyle Van Noy, right? And then Kyle Hamilton. So it's like, yeah, you might have been able to have the Humphreys, you know what I mean? But To have Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, and Kyle Hamilton, and then actually getting results from Oweh and Clowney and Pierce, it seems like the defense has got a little bit more depth than Lamar had in a few years back. So that could end up being the difference. They got guys up front, they got guys at linebacker, and they got guys in the secondary on every level. So, and I understand what you're saying, and maybe being like the Charles Barkley or the Patrick Ewing. But again, if you look at those teams, they didn't really add more pieces. They had the John Sparks. You had the Charles Oakley. You had certain guys with Patrick Ewing. And then Charles Barkley. Had some pieces around him. Obviously, we knew with like the Scottie Pippen, Charles Barkley, Olajuwon, they weren't going to win. But when Barkley ended up having a team with the Suns, you ended up running into Jordan. So if it wasn't for Jordan, a lot of these other guys would have ended up winning a championship. So I'm not sure if there was a Jordan in the NFL that is blocking the door from everyone winning a championship. Might have been able to say that Jordan was Mahomes and the Chiefs, but the Chiefs aren't as strong as they were in years past. So I have to look at it like that too. Is the team the same, as Lamar had in years past, or is this team different? And with Roquan Smith being there and adding some pieces, Matabuke, Pierce, Clowney, Oweh, they're not the biggest names, and Clowney's old as shit, but that doesn't mean Clowney can't get a half sack, or, get a pressure. I'm not even saying he has to get 2 sack lunches. Yum, 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 yum. But with Smith and Queen and Van Noy together, and then with Kyle Hamilton playing pretty well, you never know. You never know. Ravens could quite possibly be the AFC version of the Cowboys. But also, too, the Ravens defense can still be elite, right? And CJ Stroud just goes off. Jordan Love, might just go off. So we know the Niners and Ravens, they got the best defenses besides the Chiefs. But again, if Josh Allen goes off, that doesn't mean the Chiefs defense is terrible. If CJ Stroud and Jordan Love go off, that doesn't mean the Ravens and Niners defense is terrible, but maybe that those quarterbacks just got hot at the right time. We have to think about it like that too. Joey in the building. What's good? Let me take a quick peek, since we've been pretty much going nonstop for about an hour. But anything that you guys want to see photo-wise, anything that you guys want to discuss, any breakdowns that you wanted me to go over, you just have to let me know, and then I can go over those with you. We can always start off, with the Texans and the Baltimore Ravens and kind of go from there, based off like spread, totals, money line, and then obviously statistics, going into the game, injuries, whatever you guys want to do. Yeah. And the Cowboys and Ravens are not even on the same level. It's like the Cowboys have Dan Quinn. The Cowboys have some defense, but it's not like they have Deion Sanders in his prime. It's not like back when they had defense, when they had Aikman and Irvin and Emmitt Smith and, Leon Lett, and they had Jimmy Johnson. And it really does show you, coaching matters. You can have the players at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, but if your O-line and D-line don't do their jobs and your coaching and your play calling are off and they're not good, it's all about O-line, D-line, defense, coaching, play calling. And you got to make sure you have the good play calling and the good coaching. You can have these star players at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. That shit don't matter. O-line and D-line is more important than quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, period. Bucks, Rays, Bolts in the building. What's good? All right, so let's go over. I'll start off with the Texans and Baltimore, and then we'll go over some of the notable things in each matchup, and then we'll go to each one as we move over. So, Reflect in the building. What's good, brother? Oh my! Could you imagine if the Chiefs ended up winning the Super Bowl with this lackluster offense? His legacy would definitely go to another level. Like, oh, you can't win with Tyreek. Yeah, yes, I can. Oh, you can't win without the enemy. And then, your offensive coordinator, Kadarius Toney, all these drops, Sky Moore. And, can you imagine what the narrative would be if the Chiefs were to win it this year? That would be insane. But I just don't know if Mahomes has got that in him this year, especially when most people are picking Buffalo to win that game at home. But it definitely would take Mahomes' legacy to another level for sure. All right, so let's start off with the Texans and the Ravens. So let's see if I can get a photo here. All right, first matchup that we got the Houston Texans 10-7 versus the Baltimore Ravens 13-4. So let's go over real quickly here to see what we got. So the spread right now is for the Ravens by 9.5, which is pretty wild. That is wild. 9.5. And it's either going to be, they have some betting, obviously, for under 43.5 or over. And then obviously most of the money line is going to be on Baltimore, which it probably should be. Matchup predictor, 83.5% for Baltimore. And then let's take a look at the injury report for the Houston Texans. Out, Jerry Hughes, the defensive end. Offensive tackle, George Fant, questionable. Andrew Beck, fullback, questionable. Noah Brown, wide receiver, on IR. And then for the Baltimore Ravens, listed as questionable, our Darius Washington at safety. Devin Duvernay, wide receiver. And then Del'Shawn Phillips, linebacker. Mark Andrews on IR. Obviously, he's trying to get back to be able to get out there at some point. And no Marlon Humphrey at corner. He will be out. And then let's take a peek. And I'm scrolling down here to see what else we got here. All right, so the Ravens have won 2 Super Bowls, but Baltimore hasn't hosted an AFC title game since January of 1971 when the Colts beat the Oakland Raiders. And obviously the Texans have never made it that far. They're 0-4 in the divisional round, including a loss to Baltimore in January of 2012. The Houston Oilers played in the AFC Championship game, but their last appearance was 44 years ago. Now, when the Ravens beat the Texans in Week 1, 25-9. All right, the biggest story of the season-ending Achilles tendon injury to Baltimore running back J.K. Dobbins. Jackson threw for 169 yards, which is a little low for him, and ran for 38. Stroud passed for 242 yards. It was the first game for Stroud and the new Houston coach DeMeco Ryans, as well as Todd Monken, Baltimore's new offensive coordinator. All three had bigger and better things in their future, and things have changed for the better for them. Let's see if there's anything else to be able to bring up. This is the second time Baltimore has earned the number 1 seed in the AFC, but when the Ravens did it 4 years ago, they lost their playoff opener at home to Tennessee. Jackson threw for 365 yards and ran for 143, but he also turned the ball over 3 times. And maybe that's what Calvin Griffin is thinking that might happen. All right, taking it away. The Texans were tied for 5th in the NFL in the regular season with a plus 10 turnover, or it's a negative 10, so a plus minus differential. So a plus 10 turnover differential, and continue that success in the wild card game against Cleveland when they returned 2, not 1, but 2 interceptions for pick sixes and didn't have any giveaways. So that's a little surprising that the Texans defense is tied for 5th in the regular season with the turnover differential. That's a thing to keep an eye on. And then DeMeco Ryans constantly preaches the importance of winning the turnover battle, and knows Houston has to do it again to be successful. Baltimore was tied for first in turnover margin this season at plus 12. So that's one of the biggest indicators and predictors in wins and losses in the entire NFL. No matter when you play, regular season or postseason, most important thing is taking care of the football and trying to take care of the ball and take the ball away from the additional team. All right, new arrival running back Dalvin Cook is expected to make his Ravens debut Saturday after being signed to the 53-team roster. Cook rushed for 1,173 yards with Minnesota last season, but hasn't done shit with the New York Jets this year. Let me see if there's anything else, and that's pretty much it. For a little bit of the preview. So I think the main takeaway from that is that the Houston Texans defense is a little bit better than I think that we're giving credit for. It's a good question, man. I mean, obviously, I think a majority, of America is going to be going for kind of the obvious. Most of America, I would say 95%, are going to go Baltimore, San Fran, Detroit, Buffalo with no hesitation. All home teams, getting the dub. But I think that the first matchups on Saturday with Houston and Green Bay, C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love, you could argue, have been very, very hot. And if they can continue that hot streak, you never know what could happen with Baltimore and San Fran, even though they're going to be heavy underdogs. But you would assume Baltimore and San Fran will blow out Green Bay and Houston, but you never know. You never know. This is the NFL, and anything can happen on any given day. And then I think on Sunday, with Tampa and Detroit and Kansas City and Buffalo, those are going to be your two closest games. I think Detroit and Tampa Bay could be decided within 3 to 7 points, and I think KC and Buffalo will be decided by 3 or 4 points, and that one might come down to whoever has the ball last will win the game. Yes. Let's go to the next matchup. The Green Bay Packers and the San Francisco 49ers. We're an hour in. All right. So with the Green Bay Packers, 9-8, 4-5 away. San Francisco 49ers, 12-5, 5-3 at home. And then the differential, obviously, San Francisco is favored on the Vegas line by 9.5. Same thing with the Baltimore Ravens being favored by 9.5 over the Houston Texans. Matchup predictor, 80.3% for Bang Bang Niner Gang, and then 19.7% for Green Bay. And then let's take a look at the injury report, starting off with the Green Bay Packers. So the only player that's out for Green Bay is Kingsley Ngabare. And then for questionable, you got Jair Alexander, one of the top 5 corners when healthy, Isaiah McDuffie, linebacker, A.J. Dillon, running back, and Daniel Whalen, the punter. And then for Bang Bang Niner Gang, we got Cleveland Farrell, D-end is out. Danny Gray, wide receiver on IR. Dre Greenlaw, linebacker, questionable. And then George Odom, safety, is on IR, injured reserve as well. So nothing too big there on that end, besides the Dre Greenlaw. He's obviously a big piece for San Fran. All right, let's take a quick look. All right, San Francisco 49ers had plenty of success going up against the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs when Aaron Rodgers was running the show. Niners knocked Rodgers and the Packers out of the playoffs 4 times, including twice in the previous 4 seasons. Now, our first-year starter, Jordan Love, lacks the pedigree of a 4-time MVP of Aaron Rodgers. His performance in the last half of the season has caught the attention of the 49ers, 12-5, headed into the divisional round with the Packers 10-8 on Saturday night. Let's take a quick look. After a shaky start as his first season as a starter, Love has been playing at a high level in the past 2 months. He has thrown 21 touchdown passes and only 1 pick in the last 9 games, which is number 1 in the NFL, coming off one of the best playoff debuts ever. Think about that. 21 touchdown passes, 1 pick, 9 games. I'm not sure if I've heard of a better streak, let alone for a guy that's kind of brand new. You know, even though we know he's been sitting behind Aaron for a couple of years, that's pretty amazing, whether you like Green Bay or you're a hater towards them. Love went 16 for 21 with 273 yards, 3 TDs and no picks in a 48-32 win over Dallas on Sunday. Now, after losing the NFC title game in the past few seasons, the Niners came into 2023 looking to get over the hump and back to the Super Bowl. But first, they had to get through the regular season, which they did with the 12 wins, the first round bye. And most people are very, very excited in that organization, including Trent Williams. Like, this is all you wait for all year. Regular season is fun, but they're trying to get the chip for Kyle Shanahan. Now, Green Bay, surging Aaron Jones. He's rushed for more than 110 yards in each of his past 4 games, but doing it against the Bang Bang Niner gang is going to be a big challenge. He ran for 118 yards and 3 tutties in the Packers' victory over We Damn Boys and the Dallas Cowboys. Now, it's worth noting that Jones has rushed for more than 100 yards every time he's faced the Cowboys in his career, but Jones has never, let me say that again, never rushed for 100 yards in 6 previous meetings against the San Francisco 49ers. So if you're not able to establish the running game, then that's going to be a lot harder for Jordan Love to be able to go through his progressions. Now, see here. So Jones has never rushed for 100 yards in 6 previous meetings with San Francisco, though he had 9 catches for 129 yards and 12 carries for 41 in the Packers' 2021 divisional playoff loss to Bang Bang Niner. And let me see if there's anything else. That's pretty much it for the Packers and the San Francisco 49ers. All right, let's get to the next one. Let me see if I can find a graphic here. Thank you, Odin, son. I was going to say, man, going an hour. 2024 is supposed to have things go on the up and up. Appreciate you, Odin. Yeah, I got to get a bag of dog food for Paisley. I had to walk to the store with a backpack today. But a lot of stuff is starting to melt and whatnot. But I know Paisley's dog food, I think it costs like $82. So, and I think we have like a little Ziploc baggie that's left maybe for a day or two. So I thank you a lot, man. Obviously, anything that we end up getting today and tomorrow and the next day will go to taking care of Paisley. So appreciate you. And I'll be getting into your Chiefs and Bills here in just a second. Let me know what you want to do for photos. If there's anything that you want me to throw up, I'll go over the Bucks and Lions here, and then we'll throw up some photos for you. And we'll be getting into your Chiefs and Bills here in just a second. Little stacks on stacks, racks on racks, a little cactus stack. Bang, bang. $10 holla. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, let's go into the next matchup here. 82-77, Celtics up on the Nuggets by 5 with 2 minutes to go in the third. All right, so with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, take that message down for Odin's generous dono. Unholy union? I can look that up for you. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 9-8, obviously Detroit Lions 12-5. So Lions are predicted to win by 63.4% to Tampa's 36.6%. That one is much higher than the other two matchups on Saturday, with the Ravens and Texans, with the Ravens being the heavy favorite, as well as the Niners being the heavy favorite against Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. And let's take a quick look at the injury report. So for Tampa Bay Buccaneers, third-string quarterback John Wolford, questionable. Shaquille Barrett, linebacker, questionable. Chase Edmonds, running back, second-string, third-string, questionable. And then Mike Green, DN, who never plays, on IR, no problem. So the only one to really keep an eye on is the Shaq Barrett and the Chase Edmonds. And then for the Detroit Lions, Khalif Raymond is out. Sam Laporta, questionable. And James Houston, questionable. All right, Lions host the Bucks in the divisional round, aiming to win 2 playoff games in a season for the first time since 1957. So the Lions won their first playoff game in 32 years, taking advantage of hosting a postseason game for the first time in 3 decades. Detroit has 2 home games in the same playoffs for the first time in franchise history, improving its chances to earn 2 postseason victories for the first time since winning the 1957 NFL title. That was a long time ago. I think that was I think my dad was born in 51, so my dad was 6 the last time the Detroit Lions were significant. Now the Buccaneers are the only NFC team in the playoffs for a 4th straight year in a row. And their win over Philadelphia was their 6th in the postseason during that span, a total that trails only the defending champion, Kansas City Chiefs, since 2020. Who would have thought? Now, the NFC North champion Detroit is determined to move a step closer towards potentially reaching the Super Bowl for the first time, going against NFC South champion, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's see, what else do we got here? All right, Detroit, Jared Goff, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff were both number 1 picks 2 years apart for other teams and have had their share of success as of late. Let me see here. Goff completed his first 10 passes and finished with 22 of 27 with 277 yards and a tutty. And let me see if there's anything else here. Now, as far as Baker is concerned, drafted by Cleveland in 2018, perhaps the best season for the 4th team in 3 years. Career high with 4,044 yards passing, 28 touchdown passes in the regular season and became the first Buccaneers quarterback to throw for at least 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in a postseason game. Baker Mayfield is essentially what we were hoping Johnny Manziel was going to be. And Lions defensive back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the former Saint, took a verbal swipe at Mayfield last week, praised Tampa Bay's receiver, saying they would be a great group if they had a good quarterback. And then Mayfield returned some kind words and added a shot. He's like, he's a good player, but yeah, he's got to do a little bit more of film study when he was talking about guys that weren't even playing for Tampa Bay this season. And let's see here. Now, Detroit defensive aide Aiden Hutchinson has a chance to join a select list of players with multiple sack lunches in 4 or more consecutive games, including the playoffs. Simeon Rice, the former Buccaneer, had at least 2 sack lunches in 5 straight games, while the Hall of Famers Reggie White and Kevin Green pulled off defeat in 4 consecutive games. Now, Tampa Bay rookie Yaya Diaby, and third-round pick from Louisville, has 7.5 sacks, 7.5, to lead a defense that has 7 players with at least 4 sack lunches, which I think a lot of people do not realize. Now, underdog mentality. Tampa Bay is a 6.5-point underdog, according to the dominating Eagles as a 2.5-point underdog. Now, it doesn't surprise us that much. A win is a win, and you got to find a way to get it done. And let's see if there's anything else here. Last time they ended up playing, Mayfield was 19 for 37 with 206 yards with no touchdowns and 1 pick against the Lions. And that was when Baker Mayfield wore his creamsicles. And obviously I did the reaction video, which is obviously at the top of the YouTube page if you want to go back and watch that film. And that is pretty much it on that end. And let's get Odin's son some photos, and then we'll hop into the last matchup, obviously with the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, I got you. Ian in the building, what's good? All right, let me see if I can find something for you. And then for Unholy Union, are they still on NXT, or did they get moved up to SmackDown or Raw? I haven't been able to keep up with SmackDown, Raw, and NXT as much as I would like. So I'll get a couple photos up here for you. (82-81) Celtics up by 1, end of the third quarter. I appreciate your support. SmackDown. Yeah, I'm watching it, Judah. appreciate you. Is this like one of their signature moves, like the double kick or something? Heck yeah. Appreciate you. All right, let's get into the last matchup, and then I'll get you some more photos after. If you have anything else that you want me to throw up for you. And then hopefully we can get a few more goats to come through and show some love. And then let's go to the last matchup. The most intriguing matchup, the best matchup of the weekend, the one that could go either way, with the most confidence in the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. Let me see if I can get a good graphic here. Yeah, I think rent, it's going to vary, all over, depending on where you live, obviously. I think most places, depending on if you're splitting rent with someone or not, I think most people, depending on how many people you're splitting it with, is if you're on a cheaper end, maybe like a 500 or 600, but I feel most people are, in that 800 or more range for most people, unless you have some kind of special scenario. So. Here. All right, so with the Kansas City matchup against Buffalo, this one is pretty close too. 57% for Buffalo, 57.1, 42.9 for the Kansas City Chiefs. So that definitely is only a 2.5 spread for Buffalo. So that's obviously the lowest out of the 4 games. Let's take a look at the injury report. Here. All right, so injury report for the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, on IR, Sky Moore. Out, Anya Morris and Derek Nandi. Okay. Kadarius Toney and Justin Ross are questionable. And then for the Buffalo Bills, Valen Spector and Christian Benford out. And then Terrell Bernard, Teron Johnson, and Rasul Douglas are questionable. And obviously having Rasul Douglas play would be big for the Buffalo Bills and a big loss for them if he can't play. It's not going to be the end of the world. It's not like the Buffalo Bills can't win without Douglas, but obviously having any of your guys playing is going to definitely help the cause at home. Carmelo. All right, and let's take a quick look at the matchup. All right, so against the spread, the Chiefs are 11-7. The Bills are 8-10. Series record, the Bills lead 29-24-1. Last meeting, the Bills beat the Chiefs 20-17 at Kansas City on December 10th. Last week, the Chiefs beat the Dolphins 26-7. The Bills beat the Steelers 31-17. Chiefs offense overall, number 9. Rushing, number 19. Passing, number 6. Scoring, 15. Chiefs defense, overall, surprisingly, number 2. Rushing, number 18. Passing, number 4. Scoring, number 2. Bills offense, overall, number 4. Rushing, number 7. Passing, number 8. Scoring, number 6. Bills defense, this is a little wild, number 9. Rushing, 15. Passing, 6. Scoring, 4. Turnover differential, Chiefs minus 11, Bills plus 2. Chiefs player to watch, quarterback Patrick Mahomes. He has never lost in 5 divisional playoff games. All those have been played at Arrowhead. So this will be the first time the 2-time NFL MVP hits the road in the postseason. Mahomes won at Highmark Stadium only one time he played there, but that was during the pandemic season of 2020 with no fans in attendance. He also seems to have the Bills number ending their season 2 of the past 3 years. Bills player to watch, obviously, Josh Allen. He'll be asked to carry an even heavier load and offset a defense that could be missing several key starters. Allen is coming off a no-turnover, 4-touchdown TD game, which included a franchise playoff record 52-yard scoring run. In the 2 previous playoff meetings, both losses against the Chiefs, Allen has combined for 55 of 85, 616 yards with 6 TDs and a pick. Now, the key matchup is going to be the Bills defense versus the Chiefs tight end, Travis Kelce. Now, as a result of injuries, it's yet to be determined on who on Buffalo's depleted defense is going to draw the daunting challenge of covering Kelce. In the 2 playoff meetings, Kelce has 21 catches, 214 yards, and 3 touchdowns, including a game winner in overtime 2 years ago. Kelce could have been a key factor in the Chiefs' loss in Buffalo last month. A rare offensive offside penalty on Kadarius Toney wiped out the tight end's lateral to Toney for the go-ahead touchdown in the final minutes. The teams meet for the 7th time since 2020, including a 3rd time in the playoffs. Chiefs hosting the previous 5 outings. The 2 original American Football League franchises have split their last 6, with Kansas City winning both playoff outings, a 38-24 win in the AFC Championship game in 2020, and a 42-36 overtime win in the divisional round meeting the following season. The 2021 loss was a notable, with Buffalo squandering a 3-point lead in the final 13 seconds in regulation. The Chiefs are 3-2 against Buffalo in the postseason, and with the Bills winning twice in the 1990s. Stats and stuff. The Chiefs are in the divisional round for the 6th straight season, extending their franchise record with a chance of advancing to their 6th consecutive AFC Championship game. Kansas City held the Dolphins to only 7 points, more than 22 points below their season average. Miami was just 1 for 12 on 3rd down and had 264 yards. Mahomes needs 2 TD passes to pass Drew Brees' 37 for number 6 on the playoff list. He needs 5 passes to pass Peyton Manning for 40 for 5th. Kelce has 140 catches in the postseason, trailing only Jerry Rice, 151 for most in NFL history. Now, Rashee Rice set Chiefs rookie records with a playoff game with 8 catches for 130 yards against the Dolphins. The yardage was the 7th highest total for a Kansas City player in the playoff game. Now, Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker has 131 points in his postseason career, and he needs 2 to pass Rice for 6th in NFL history. Gary Anderson is 5th with 153 points. Cornerback L'Jarius Sneed has 62 playoff tackles, tied with Anthony Hitchens for the most in Chiefs history. And that is pretty much it. So that's kind of a little bit of the breakdown. So we're going to have to see, can the Chiefs on the road beat the Buffalo Bills? Almost every matchup has been them at home. We got to 20. Let's get to 30. No more Butch. Pete Dunn is back. Good. Matt is in the building. Matt is an hour and a half late. Good, Matt. How are you? And we just got done going over the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs, the Detroit Lions and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers, and the Houston Texans going against the Baltimore Ravens. NFL playoffs in the divisional round preview and predictions. So like I said, I feel like, 95 to 99%, of America, I really do feel are going to be going for the obvious matchups. They're going to be going for, Baltimore at home, San Francisco at home, the Lions at home, and then obviously the last matchup, Buffalo at home. But, if you were thinking about, who's got the best chance to upset, and I guess you would probably have to assume the best chance would be what? Tampa Bay and the Kansas City Chiefs. And then the most surprising would be Green Bay and Houston. And obviously the way that Houston and Green Bay have been playing as of late, I don't think I would really be that shocked. Like I said, normally you're going to get less upsets, in this round. Normally you're going to have more upsets in the, wild card weekend round. And then instead of, 4 games, you're not going to have 4 upsets, which would mean all 4 road teams would win. And you're probably not going to have 3 upsets. You're probably only going to see 1. And if we're really lucky, maybe 2 at the very, very most. But if we end up getting 3, it'll be unprecedented for the first time having 3 out of 4 being upsets. And that would mean 3 out of 4 road teams would have to win. But what would be the 2 or 3 teams to do it? That's the question. Who's going to end up winning for sure, and then what are going to be the upsets? So what, Baltimore is going to beat Houston, and then Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and Kansas City are going to win? I mean, it's very, very possible, but, my gut kind of tells me Baltimore for me, San Fran for me, but I think Houston and Green Bay will put up a fight. And then I think, even though I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, I think Detroit will be able to get it done. And I think that, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, that's the one that could go 50-50. And I think that one is the most interesting to me. That's the most intriguing matchup, just like the Rams and the Lions. And I think it can go either way. And this might be the year that Buffalo might be able to squeak by Kansas City. And that's a big might, right? Just because they got the home field advantage there, with Josh Allen, and obviously the, year in and year out, the struggles that Buffalo has had to be able to overcome. Now, I don't like the fact that Buffalo doesn't have a defense, and Kansas City defense is lit. But also, Kansas City is going to have to play on the road. They're not at home. So if Kansas City was at home, I would say Kansas City. So this one might come down to whoever has the ball last in the game might end up winning the game for their respective team. So I think that matchup is 50-50 for me, with the Chiefs and the Bills. But I got Ravens, I got Niners, I got Lions, and it's going to be a coin flip with the Chiefs and the Bills. But if I had to pick someone right now, I would probably say I'm leaning Bills barely, just because of home field advantage and the way that Josh Allen has been playing. But remember, Josh Allen is playing well, but they're going to be going against a really good defense in Kansas City. So if they can bring that defense, the Chiefs can easily win this game. It's not like they're so out of it. This is the closest 50-50 matchup, and it might come down to being a score of 26-25, 27-26. Whoever has the ball last might end up winning the game, just like with Detroit and the Los Angeles Rams. So if you want to comment below and let me know what you guys think, let me know. Yes. So if the Texans win, and that's what you would want, to give you the easiest path to get to the Super Bowl, then it would be a Texans-Chiefs AFC Championship game at Arrowhead. And then if Tampa Bay and Green Bay both won, then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would be hosting NFC Championship game. And then could you imagine if it ended up being Tampa Bay and Kansas City in the Super Bowl? That would probably be like the most unlikely thing to happen, but you never know. All right, so since we went through all of those, anything else that you want to see on the Kansas City Chiefs side? I'm going to throw up some more photos for you, and then hopefully we can get some more people to come through and show some love. And I'll probably stay online for maybe another 26 minutes, and then hopefully we can get another coach to help us get to goal. And I do appreciate everything that you've done. So for the time being, from now and until then, like I said, I'll let everyone else control the stream the rest of the way, and anything else is up for grabs. And then I'll take care of you with photos, and we'll go from there. And then I'll end up finishing up this Celtics Nuggets game. The Celtics up by 1 with 5 minutes to go. said at least one of them will have a bullshit call, and the Chiefs will get a bullshit call in their favor. I'm thinking you're probably going to get a bullshit call in every game, and that bullshit call might end up determining the outcome at the end, between the Buccaneers, and Detroit. There might be some kind of pass interference or holding call, like the same type of shit that wasn't called for the Rams, and then they punted, and then all the Lions had to do is get a couple first downs. That same scenario might happen to Tampa Bay, where Baker throws the ball, Mike Evans gets roughed with, no flag, and then all of a sudden, we have to punt. Detroit gets a couple first downs and a kneel down, and it's over. For Green Bay and San Francisco and Houston and Baltimore, we assume that those are going to be blowouts unless there's injuries. If there's injuries, then it's going to be a hell of a lot closer than people think. But if there's not, you would assume Baltimore and San Fran will run away with it. But it would be shocking if Houston and Green Bay won those games. Tampa Bay and Detroit should be within 7 points, and Kansas City and Buffalo should be within 3 or 4. 23 in Massachusetts. We're 34 right now. Again, this is like the first time that we've actually had a little bit of a melt. We've been sitting around 10 to 15 degrees for about a week now. And then we got up into like the 20s for a little bit. And then now we finally are getting a little bit of a melt. I had family members actually drive the car for the first time in like a week. I had to shovel the driveway, and I actually had to walk to the store to get supplies today, just because I didn't have anything like shoveled out and whatnot. So but it's all good. I'll be doing 4 walks today, but that's just good exercise for me. So I'll let you guys let me know what you guys want to do for photos here the rest of the way. Odin, anything else you want to do for photo-wise? And then everyone, was like talking shit about DeAndre Ayton not being able to go to the game. But you have to realize snow is one thing, right? But when you have the whole area being an ice cube, me, I walk an hour and a half a day, 7 days a week. And it got to a point a couple days ago where I couldn't even walk Paisley. That's how bad it was. When we had snow, and then we had a layer of ice, and then snow, and then a layer of ice. It literally, picture an ice cube. And that was everywhere. I mean, literally, once I got under the driveway, once I got under the road, once I got into the lawn, you're literally, legs are going like this. Paisley's legs, my legs. I couldn't even walk. Anywhere, not even 5 minutes. So if it's that bad, obviously people don't understand. It's one thing when you're getting blizzard conditions in the Midwest or the East Coast, but when you have ice, it's a whole other story, especially if you have 4 to 5 inches of snow, right? And then you have ice on top of that. So even as each layer melts, but it wasn't melting. So when we ended up having 10 to 15 degree temperatures with the snow, and then the highs that we were getting were 10 to 20. So the high was 18 and the low was 16, or the high was 24 and the low was 18. So we never got rain, and we never got temperatures above 32, 33, above freezing to melt anything. So for pretty much a week, it was snow and ice, and it was just accumulating. And then finally we ended up getting a little bit of rain in the last couple days, and then that started to melt down the layers on the roads, and people got a little bit more brave, driving around. But DeAndre Ayton lives in West Lynn, where a lot of the Blazers live, and it's literally like Hood River, where all the houses are on hills, so there's no way in hell you're going up, and if you're going down, you're not getting back up. And like I said, it's you could even have cleats and have a hard time walking around. And that's kind of how it was. So I don't think a lot of people understood. I've lived here my whole life, and I don't think I've ever seen the ice this bad in the 41 years that I've lived here in this 7-day period. It started off with snow, and then it ended up being ice, baby. Just continuous. And then each layer that was melting, it was 5 or 6 layers. So just because it got above freezing doesn't mean everything melted away. There's still places on the sidewalk, if you don't watch closely, you're going to fall down. So that is big fact. Ice is terrible. Go, Ninja, go, Ninja, go. Go, 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 go. I've been watching Ninja Turtles on YouTube, G.I. Joe, Real American Hero on YouTube, and Transformers on YouTube. So much memories. And I ended up watching all the Turtle movies like about a month ago. And when they had like a preview on, I don't know, what was it on? It must have been on Prime or something. And then I ended up watching all of that. So. Try to get some more photos up here. And then let me know, Odin, on anything else that you want. It could be music related, Chief related. This actually isn't her first winter weather. We actually did get some snow last year. She's 2, and when she was her first 6 months of her life, we weren't able to take her outside because she had to get all her shots. So she didn't really get to experience, being outside until like the 6-month period. And then after that happened, we were out, I tried to get her out there all the time, but then, she was getting overfed, and I was the only one walking her in the household. And like I said, I needed to be able to walk her like I am now. And she enjoyed it. And like I said, but it only lasted like a day or two, and it was only a couple inches of snow. And then it melted away after like 1 day. So it's like 2 days of snow and ice, and then 1 day of a thaw and a melt, and then it was gone. So it was maybe a total of like 2.5 or 3 days. And she loved it. She loves to explore. She loves to be able to, sniff around other people's lawns and properties and whatnot. And I like to extend the leash so that way she can have freedom. But I have to be careful, because if she just, goes off and she's like 6 feet in front of me, she sees a cat, she sees a squirrel, she sees something, and she jerks on the leash, I'm going to go flying, and I'm going to bonk my head and knock myself out. So I've had to be a little bit, a little bit more closer to my body, with her. But there's been places where I would walk on the road. Essentially, I would walk in the road in my neighborhood, because there was not a lot of people out there. But in the week that we've had this snowpocalypse here in Oregon, which it was more ice really than snow, but I have been able to walk her about 30 minutes a day, 3 times a day the last 2 days. Because I was going to say for about 3 days, I was getting a little stir crazy, because there was like 1 day where I wasn't able to do anything. And then a couple days where I was able to do like 2 15-minute walks, and I still didn't feel good mentally. And then the last 2 days, I've been able to do about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 3 times. And then I did a morning walk of like 40 minutes, another afternoon walk of 40. Then I ended up walking to the store. That was another 45. And then we're going to do another 40 tonight. So she loves it. But let me know any other photos that you want, and I got you. Reflect with a tenor. I appreciate you. Let me know what you want to have. If you want to go over the coaches that we were talking about, I can throw those up for you if you'd like. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks, with a little cactus jack. Bang, bang. Thanks, Dala Hala. Thank you so much. Wish we had more people like Odin's son in Reflect. And we need to get more ghosts, to replace some of the old ones that don't show up anymore or are never going to come back. We need to be able to find more people to support the channel. But I'm thinking we'll go for another 17 minutes. And I think that would be a good time to stop, unless we end up getting some amazing dono trains going. And if that happens, I wouldn't mind going for 2 hours, 30 minutes, or 3 hours. But I was going to cap it out at 3. But that's if, we got on some insane dono train, but I wasn't expecting that. But you never know. But I feel that if we go for another 17 minutes, I think that would be kind of a good stopping point, considering I might do both games tomorrow and both games on Sunday. But as of right now, and me not, being able to lose my voice and being able to spend time with Paisley, I'm thinking that I'm going to watch with Paisley, Houston and Baltimore. And then we're going to do Green Bay, San Francisco live stream, so I can spend some time with her. And then on Sunday, I'm going to grind it out, and I'll do Bucks, Lions, and Chiefs, Bills. So that way I'm not, just ignoring her for the whole weekend and whatnot. So Megan with a $5. You want some Trent McDuffie? Okay, I got you. All right, no problem. Thank you so much for your initial donation to get us out of that hole. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Oh, no problem. You know what? You say a little bit, but your little bit is way more than anybody else besides the regulars. Like I said, you and Reflect have really been holding it down. You, Reflect, Odin, Cyber, Mr. Williams, You know, like it's like we used to have about maybe 10 people, consistently being able to support. And some of those others, have disappeared. And I really do appreciate, you coming through even when you're feeling crappy. We really love you. We really appreciate you. And obviously with the 12s, with you and Reflect, you guys have really been the MVPs in the Northwest. And Odin has been that rock, out there in New York on the East Coast. And I love you guys with everything that I got, man. I appreciate you. Megan with a $5. All right, let's get some Trent McDuffie, and we can get some more photos here as well. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks, a little Cactus Jack. Bang, bang. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. The last thing you want to do is grind it out and, be at like a 0, Yeah, and plus, I got to be able to get Paisley dog food. And with this whole week of being iced out, I was nervous that we were going to run out. But I think Petco and PetSmart have a delivery service and whatnot. But the bag of dog food for Paisley is like $82. So it's like, golly, that's kind of a lot, So, I don't get to really buy anything for myself. I just want to make sure that she's okay. So obviously all the donations that we get on the Cash App today, Saturday and Sunday will go towards that. So. All right, 1 sec here. Let's get a quick shepherd's pie here for Odin. Oh, okay. I see you. Gosh, I haven't had shepherd's pie. I can't even tell you. It's probably been 10 years. Let's get some McDuffie. Mike is in the building. Mike and Reflect finally get to reunite. I think this is like the first time that you guys have been in the room together. Unless you guys were in the room before. Oh, Mike and Reflect. It's a reunion. Let's go. Mike, how are you? All right, let's get some Trent McDuffie up here. We'll do both. We'll do Huskies and Chiefs. Love me some McDuff. We missed you, Mike. On another Husky one. They're always like, I don't get it. Like the Huskies, like they got people working on all these like Husky ones like all the time. W's, and then obviously with the Husky, and then I found another one here. I mean, obviously I like the Oregon Ducks one the best, going from the O and then to Oregon Ducks, or if it said, go Ducks or whatever, but still. And then here's another one where you got the little transparency there. Flat Plain, Oregon in the building. What's good? I'm here in Oregon as well. He said MVP Purdy. Offensive Player of the Year, CMC. Could be the year. I definitely could see the Niners winning it all. They've been very, very close. try to get out to the other photos here for y'all. And then let me know what you want to do, Megan. If you want Kraken photos or Seahawk photos. But I appreciate you guys sending me the articles because you guys know how much I like to read and whatnot. Even if it comes up on some of my other socials, I really do appreciate it very, very much. Megan ended up sending me some Kraken information in a little blurb, and then obviously Reflect ended up sending me some stuff about Slowick and going over a breakdown. And after going over the breakdown and some of the articles and film and reading more about Johnson and Slowick, I think those are me and Reflect's two favorite right now. Not Belichick, Harbaugh, yeah, those guys are the OGs. But if you're talking about guys that are unproven, but that will get a promotion to be a head coach at some point this year, most likely, lots of promise and a lot of good juju and a lot of good vibes from those two guys. But again, it all depends on, what team is going to pull the trigger, with each of those guys. To 100. Denver Nuggets with a big win. Wow. We'll throw up a couple coaches here for the Hawks. Seahawks. What will they do? You're going from one offensive coordinator with an amazing, offense around him, and then another guy. They're almost identical. They're like brothers. Like, look at them. I mean, they're almost identical. Ben Johnson, right? And Bobby Slowick. So obviously working with CJ Stroud and obviously with Nico Collins and company, but also you got to remember, Jared Goff and the offense, and Gibbs and Montgomery and that offensive line, and Amon-Ra and Laporta. I mean, there's not very many groups that have what the Lions have besides the Niners. And then, with the Texans here with Bobby Slowick, that article that you ended up sending me was very, very good. I might forward that over to Sarah so she can read it as well. But it's a very good read to be able to give yourself a little bit more reassurance that if they do go with Bobby Slowick over Ben Johnson, or if Ben Johnson decides to stay, at Detroit, to help them win a Super Bowl, or if he wants to be a head coach, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But I mean, they look like brothers. I mean, they're almost identical. Like, could be cousins. And they obviously have different philosophies and whatnot, but I think either one right now, those would probably be the two best fits so far that I've seen based off the film, the reading. And again, it depends if it's going to be Geno or if they're going to draft Michael Penix Jr. or whoever they decide to compete with Geno at quarterback. But I think that if you ended up doing that, and like you were also mentioning too, kind of surprising that Schneider kept his job, might have some kind of silver tongue. You would have thought maybe they would have cleaned house all at the same time and started over. But I can't see Schneider being there that much longer, I guess, unless they have a lot of success with the hire. So maybe depending on how good this hire is and how good they do, that might determine how much, Schneider has left, based on, if he's going to be there short term or if he's going to be able to be there long term and whatnot. So. Scroll up here real quick. Mike is in the building. I'm just scrolling, looking at the comments here. Flat plane in the building. Mike in the building. Oh, I'm a Ducks fan. Yeah. Oh, nice. You going with family? Odin says, give me that venison. Stud. $30-30. All right, man. I appreciate you. Much love, brother. Well, I don't think Seahawks have no interest in Harbaugh. I don't think that either one has interest with each other. And then the Quinn could be a reality, just because of the connection of, being there in the past. Yeah, but if Reflect sends you this article, or if I forward you this article for you to read, and if you go over it, it's a pretty good one, going over, what Slowick is about, being the Houston Texans OC, and then to be able to see how he's been able to work with CJ Stroud and where they're at. I mean, you don't usually see a rookie quarterback get this far and have these kind of stats and whatnot. So, you got one guy leading the Lions and another guy running the Texans, and you don't really, it doesn't really feel like either team is going to be slowing down anytime soon. So I don't think there's enough information about Slowick out there. But if you end up reading the minimal stuff that is out there, I think it will reassure more Hawks fans and other fans of other teams that if they ended up hiring Bobby, instead of, Ben, that I think it would work out. So. Right. And sometimes we need to be able to learn more and more and more about the guys. So. Well, Sloak isn't going to be a mistake for anybody. And like I said, it just depends on what kind of personnel, that these guys have when they go to the next team. If they have players, because, if you got the Texans and the Lions, as the OC, and you've seen what they've been able to do. And then if they go to, like a shit team that doesn't have anything, you can't expect them to put up the same kind of results they did with the players on the Lions and the Texans. So you have to also remember that too. If you're expecting exactly the same type of results, you're not going to get that. So it all depends on the personnel that you currently have and what they decide to get from that point. And, Johnson and Slowick might have a different idea of what quarterback they would want to bring in to challenge Geno. Chances are they're not thinking of probably the same guy. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But depending on what happens, each guy that comes in would probably draft a different quarterback, I would assume. This article is really, really good. Like I said, that's why, you can't listen to the masses, because a lot of people, when they make opinions, they don't read. All they do is they just look at a post on social media and then they just bandwagon off that. Like, oh, it said it on social media. That's the guy, and then if you're not doing your own research and watching the film or going through the articles or finding out the background, the history, the records, the relationships, the strategy, the analytics, you have to go deeper. You just can't be like, oh, everyone on the 12s, all the Seahawk fans on the internet say Ben Johnson, so I'm going to go Ben Johnson. Sometimes you got to go a little bit deeper than that. But I think both would be, qualified, and and then depending on what they did for building up their staff as well. But we'll see what ends up happening. But I think that hopefully, for your guys' sake, it ends up being one of those two guys, because I think that they would have better success than like a Belichick or a Harbaugh. With Belichick and Harbaugh, you already know what you're going to get. Belichick is going to be the discipline guy, but it has to be the right team in the right situation. And Belichick's going to have the power. But the thing is, even if you give Belichick power, it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to get you a Super Bowl. I don't think a lot of people believe in him. Harbaugh, I think that Harbaugh could get a team a Super Bowl and can get them to an AFC or NFC championship game. And he is a hot commodity, but it has to be the right team. And honestly, the best team for Jim Harbaugh is going to be the Los Angeles Chargers and Justin Herbert. To be able to build up that defense and turn that ship around. To me, that's the most natural fit. Bill Belichick to Atlanta is not a fit. Bill Belichick to the Chargers is not a fit. Bill Belichick to the Cowboys, even when that was rumored, is not a fit. But Mike McCarthy, that's not a fit either, but they want to, have his contract run out and then go a different direction. But I think Harbaugh to the Chargers is the most natural fit. And if he doesn't go there, I would just go back to Michigan. That's what I would do. I would be like, I'd go there with Herbert. And if not, I'll just go back to Michigan and go that route. I'm not sure if there's another team that would be as good of a fit as the Chargers, as well as a challenge, for Harbaugh to see if he can do it. But he would have to get over the injury curse, which a lot of coaches can't. But it would be the best coach that the Chargers had almost ever. So we'll see. And then for the Hawks, I think right now I wouldn't go Harbaugh, and I don't think Harbaugh has any interest in Seattle, and I don't think Seattle has any interest in him. Even though that Harbaugh could pretty much go anywhere and be successful, I think the mentality would not really be a fit, as well as the control. And then, I'm just trying to think, and then the Quinn stuff is going to be the rumor, but again, I think Quinn is more of a defensive coordinator, not a head coach. So that's that simple fact that if Quinn were to leave the defensive coordinator job and then, go to Seattle, and take that job as defensive coordinator, fine, but I wouldn't want to have Dan Quinn as my head coach, Yeah, that's why we gotta keep being able to go over all the information. Yeah, there's some really good articles. Like he ended up forwarding me an article, and I can forward it to you if you'd like. And it's a good one. Got a lot of good information, and it's nothing crazy. It's just through ESPN.com, but it really goes in depth, of what he's about. So, and honestly, I think if every Seahawk fan read the breakdown of Slowick. I think that this Ben Johnson hype, the only reason Ben Johnson's getting hyped is because he's on Detroit. You know what I mean? And the Detroit's having success. But look what Detroit has. They have Goff. They have 2 running backs. The best thunder and lightning combo with Gibbs, right, and David Montgomery. Seahawks don't have that, right? The Lions have an offensive line. The Seahawks don't have that, right? Yes, you have DK. Yes, you have Lockett and JSN. They got them on Laporta. You guys don't have a Laporta. You know, so if you're looking at, what could happen, you guys don't have an elite tight end. You don't have an offensive line, yet, right? And you only got 1 running back besides, Charbonnet, doing his thing. But Charbonnet and Walker are not Montgomery and Gibbs. I think that's fair to say. Now, can you get flashes out of Charbonnet? Yeah. You know what I mean? But I think Montgomery and Gibbs are both like starters. Kenneth Walker is the starter. As far as Charbonnet, he's more of like a rotational back, RB2, RB3, but not a guy that you would want to be your RB1. And if it was, you're going to struggle. So you have to be able to understand that aspect as well. And then if you're looking at the Texans don't really have an offensive line. They have Devin Singletary, who actually was a better fit there than in Buffalo. So it's pretty much him, CJ Stroud, D'Amico Ryan. Offensive line, not the greatest, and then they're just able to spread the ball around. And then you also have to realize that Goff and Geno are kind of similar, but CJ Stroud at this point looks like his ceiling is much higher than Geno. So you also have to realize that all these plays that we're able to see out of CJ, you may or may not be able to get the same type of plays with Geno or the rookie quarterback that you draft. So if you start Geno for a month and then he ends up being 1-3, and then you bench him and then you bring in Michael Penix Jr. or whoever, there's no guarantee that you're going to get the same results with those guys. But with that being said, I think with Johnson and Slowick, they give you the best chance to kind of wash the slate clean, start over, give you something new and fresh, something to look forward to with the new uniforms, and something to build on before they decide to replace Schneider, whenever that may be. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of teams looking at Nick and Michael Penix Jr., and Jaden Daniels. There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks. They're going to be sitting there at, after the initial one, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's going to be a couple in that range as well. So, yeah. Analytics is huge. And, who's going to be better at the analytics? That's Slowick. So, yeah, I agree. Yeah. So his is about scheme, analytics. For example, Ben Johnson is like the sexy pick that everyone's talking about, but not really a lot of people know anything about him because he's just the OC of the Lions, and everyone puts this narrative out there that he's the hottest thing since sliced bread. But how many people actually know things about Ben Johnson? Like 5%. Everyone's just hopping on the fucking bandwagon, and they're not reading or understanding anything. They just heard one other person say it, and then everyone's just hopping on the wagon. Yeah. But if you go deeper and read and go over it, with the analytics and everything else, it seems like, with Slowick, that side of it, he's got an advantage. Where that guy might end up being better because Seattle needs to build that O-line. Seattle needs to build the D-line. Seattle needs to build the defense and obviously have a better tight end. And then they need to figure out what they're doing at quarterback. There's a lot of question marks for Seattle. They're still a good team, but you don't want to be good. You want to be elite. You want to be right there with the Niners. And then with the Rams showing what they did this year, you're going to be competing with them too. So it's no longer just you and the Niners. Now it's the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Niners. It's going to be a 3-team race. The only other team that's going to be out of it is going to be the Cardinals for, the next couple of years, we assume. So. I don't. If I'm Belichick, I'm not going there. It's a dog shit team. No offense, but why would I go there? You ain't going to win there. Belichick can't turn the Panthers around unless you want to go 0-17. And then Belichick to Tennessee is the same thing as Vrabel. And I think there's rumors for Vrabel to Seattle. Terrible. That would not be a good fit. Like I said, Vrabel coming, Dan Quinn, I don't think so. You know what I mean? if Vrabel comes to Seattle, people are going to riot. Especially if like you had an opportunity to get Johnson and Slowick, and they decide to go for Vrabel instead. I'm not saying Vrabel is horrible. You know what I mean? But he's going to have the right pieces to be successful. And if Vrabel doesn't have the pieces already there, he's not going to succeed. Yeah, here, let me send it to you. It's a very good read. And that's all I do is read. So let me send it to you. And that's the type of stuff that I like to go over and read. Read this article I just sent to you on Instagram that I got from Reflect. I think it's really going to open your mind a little bit deeper, because again, everyone looks at black and white. Sometimes you got to go deeper and go into the gray. Everyone else on all the other channels, they just do the obvious. Like these matchups on this weekend. Oh, Baltimore, San Francisco, Detroit, Buffalo. Well, so is 99% of America. Everyone's going for the home team. But sometimes you just got to go a little bit deeper with the information. And even with that being said, there's no guarantee that Johnson and Slowick are going to pan out. They could get fired after a year or two. But compared to everyone else that's out there, I like the mentality and the depth that they have up to this point. But remember, just because they had success there as OCs does not mean it's going to translate to being a good head coach and OC, or head coach and then they give the play calling duties to someone else. So you got to remember that also. But I just sent you the article. I think you're going to really enjoy it. And then if you end up going into the 12, right, you can share that, with Brandon and some of the other people there. So if they don't know that type of information, you can forward that to them, and then they can make their own, analysis and breakdown depending on how smart they are or whatnot, if they can read and break down the article and whatnot and go from there. So I miss you, Mike. I'm just saying, I think a majority of people, that are looking at Johnson, it's not Hawks fans, it's everyone. I feel that it's just like the hype train. It's like, he's the guy. But I think 99% of the people, they don't know anything about him. All they know is that he's the OC of the Lions. I mean, that's just pretty much my gauge. T4 Keith, what's good? We miss you, brother. How are you? $75 to go. Yanni? Oh, 2 games? That was rough yesterday. Rough 3 games with the Penguins, the Rangers, and the Oilers. That was tough. Woo! -3. We got to believe in the Matt Payton hot, baby. Yeah, champion. You did it, man. It's actually better that way, too, because, I have myself to blame. I made 3 critical errors that if I just would have, originally kept my lineup the exact way that I had it, then I would have won. That would have been having Mullins in, and benching Baker, benching Mike Evans, and playing Jets D. And I had 8 out of 9 green after having 8 out of 9 red in the first week. And even if I didn't play Mullins, and even if I didn't play Samir White, if I just would have left the Jets D alone, they would have gotten enough points for me to end up, beating Reflect by a couple. But again, coulda, woulda, shoulda, and I learned a lot of lessons. I learned that I never will draft Patrick Mahomes in fantasy ever again. I learned that I can never trust Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans and the Bucs in the fantasy playoffs ever again. So sometimes you gotta go through the experiences and learn, so that way you don't make those mistakes in the future. And even though I told Reflect I would sacrifice the fantasy championship if the Huskies could win it all, he earned it. He ended up winning the championship, well earned, and it's the closest thing to me that I think we've had in the fantasy league ever, and he deserved it. So too bad I wasn't able to get that Huskies natty for him also, but it's just one of those things. Sports gods can only do so much. But it was a fun season, that's for sure. Anything that you guys want to end up seeing, let me know. So what do you think about the Yanni suspension? That's interesting. Yeah, I'll get you some hack. It just makes me kind of sick, though, out of those 3 spots. All I had to do was do one, and I took all 3 out. I figured that, even if Baker plays like shit, that him and Mike Evans could at least get to 30, not combined for 10. And then, obviously, with the Patriots being the Jets with that weather, sometimes you just have to ride with what's been consistent all year, and sometimes you have to take a chance on guys like a Nick Mullins, or someone like Zamir White, where you're going to get the points. But I didn't think that Baker and Mike Evans were going to get no touchdowns and they were going to be 9-0 against the Panthers. I don't think anyone anticipated that. So, sometimes, the players are there, but, you live and you learn. So. And I can get a photo for you, Matt, and Chief will cheat before I go to. Need to get off this losing streak, though. 3 in a row. I just want to have a year where I play fantasy at the end and I don't have all red. Like, I always get screwed in like that first week or that second week. And it's like, it's not like, 4 red and like 4 green or 4 red and 5 neutral. It's always terrible where it's like 8 out of 9 red, 9 out of 9 red. And then I got to make up all the shit in the championship round or vice versa. So, tough. Appreciate you. You too, man. I'm gonna throw up a photo here for you as you go. Try to get everyone included here. From a Kyle Busch as he's leaving. Kyle freaking Busch. Appreciate you, Mike. Glad to see you back in the room. Mike is back. Let's go, baby. Appreciate you, Mike. No problem. No problem, Megan. No problem, Mike. RCR, baby. Kyle, I see you. Can I find one more? Can I find one more? Sure can. I can't wait for NASCAR. It's like as soon as it ends, it's like, oh, I want it to start again. Just like baseball. Appreciate you, Mike. Kyle freaking Busch, baby. Chief, you got a specific player that you want to see before I dip out? I'll probably dip out here in about 8 minutes. We'll go 2 hours and 30 minutes, and then we'll call it a day. Unless we get some kind of incredible dono train to help us out. Matt, I know what Matt wants. You're welcome, Matt. Long hair, don't care. Matt's day is complete. You're welcome. I got you, bro. Reflect with a 20. He says, I want him to make sure he doesn't have fingernails or air for dinner. Appreciate that. Thank you so much, Mike. And I appreciate you sending over that article. It was one of the better informative reads that I've had in quite a while. Oh, nice. Reflect with a 20. Get Chief a couple photos as well. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks with a little cactus jack. Bang, bang. And also remember, mental health is very, very important. We go over it on every single stream, and sometimes it's one of those things we put on the back burner, and you want to make sure that you're always doing something positive to help you get those little W's throughout the day. Mental health, and obviously I feel that one of the best places for mental health is here. There's a lot of streams that you can go to, but I feel that we can improve the mental health of anybody, no matter how far in the gutter or in the ditch they feel they are. We can be real, we can be genuine, have that empathy and sympathy. A lot of us have gone through the same type of experiences, and we genuinely do care about each other, which is very rare on a channel because a lot of times it's not like that. So, 45, 55 to go. We got a couple for Chief in here. And then let me know what you want to do, reflect as well. I got you. I'm going to hit him with some Jamal Charles. Not sure if he's still in the room or not, but still, I will throw a couple. Jamal Charles is a stud. And we'll show him some love too. Appreciate you, Chief with Chief. Hit Matt up with something other than Taylor Swift. Let's go, baby. It makes you kind of wonder, too, with the Bo Nix, Bucky Irving situation, if a team will draft both on the same team to have the chemistry like Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, or, you know, with ETN and Trevor Lawrence. I could see a team doing that, to try to keep the chemistry together to help Bo Nix more by bringing in Bucky Irving. And obviously not getting him too early, but if it just falls into a team's lap and they decide to double up, I think that would be smart. I'm not sure what team would consider doing that, but if they end up doing something like that, that could definitely benefit them. It would be good for morale to have them together. Go Ducks. That's like, yes, my day has been made. Bo Nix and Taylor Swift. Oh, I got you, bro. That looks good on her. I got you, bro. Oh, boys in heaven. Look at them. Heaven dog. And I know you're surprised on how much information that I've been able to send you. I told you, man, I'm not like a regular person, bro. Like, I read like a fucking madman. There's not very many people that I feel that are all going to be on my, level of the reading and whatnot. But anything that I see that's interesting that I'm going through in my day, I send it to you. So no problem. I got you. I like Jackson Powers a lot, too. Yeah, let's throw up Jackson Powers up here real quick, too. And then reflect, what do you want to see, bro? I mean, the Oregon Ducks have never had, the Remington in the best center in the country. So I'm really excited to see where he goes. I would love for like a team like Tampa or anyone that, that has a favorite team in the room to be able to get a guy like him. I think he's going to be successful. And I think there's a chance that, he could be a Hall of Famer. I think he's that good. I think that he'll end up being one of the, top 10 centers right away. And, over the first couple of years, I wouldn't surprise me if he ends up being top 5 in the entire league. And then hopefully climbing his ranks all the way up into the top 3. That's what I'm hoping for. Go Ducks. Mental health. Take care of yourself. Let's go, baby. Divisional round, baby. Whoop. baby. Let's go. Can't wait for tomorrow. Seahawks. Yeah, I was thinking that too. I mean, how cool would that be? You know, it's like the whole, you know, Max Unger, Jimmy Graham debacle. You know, you could make up for it by picking someone like that. Or if you guys ended up going Michael Penix Jr. and Jackson Powers, that would be kind of ironic, you know, with a Husky and a Duck. But it could work, you know, but it just depends on, you know, where you're going to be able to draft. And obviously at the position that Penix would be drafted, you probably have other needs that you would have to take care of, you know, and I would assume Penix and some of these guys are going to get drafted higher than people think. I think he will grade out like Creed. I think there's a good chance he could be better than Creed, believe it or not. Like I said, I've been watching the center position. You know, they had Ronis Grasu and, you know, Unger, and Jackson Powers is better than those guys. And those guys are pretty fucking good. So I feel that Jackson Powers could end up being like the best center in Oregon history. Like, I'm not sure if there's ever going to be another center. With the recruiting that Dan Lanning is doing, maybe we can get another one like him. But, you know, based off winning the Remington and whatnot, I mean, that's no Duck has ever done that. So we have to make sure that we understand that how good Jackson Powers is. And if we didn't have Jackson Powers, we probably would have got our ass kicked by Washington a hell of a lot more than 3-3. I'm just saying. That was a big instrumental part of Bo Nix's success. What do you want to see, Reflect? What you got? What you got going on here at the end? You let me know what you want. I got you, bro. Oh, Bobby's world. And then after, you know, going through the article and everything, you know, this seems like the better fit. You know, this is the hype train, right? But like after the article, and I'm going to read more and go through it, but those extra intangibles, that's what you have to look for. And, you know, I know people that don't do the research will be like, boo! But then if you actually know, you know, more, you'll be like, damn, this might be the steal of 2024. Whoever gets him. And if you're the Texans, you're like, don't leave. You know, because obviously CJ Stroud, look how good he's done with Bobby this year. And, you know, but that's just the nature of the biz, you know. So I'm trying to take care of all y'all. Let's see if I can find a couple more Bobbies. For good measure, we can maybe talk it into existence. That type of article is exactly like my wheelhouse. That's like exactly what I like to the T. Even the Titans are like, we need him. Well, no shit, everyone needs him. Titans are in a terrible spot. And the simple fact that he was on the Niners, you know, is huge. If you're a Seahawks fan, that's going to be better than Ben Johnson because he knows all the secrets. You know, anything that, you know, if you can work with an elite guru, you know, if that means that you're working with McVay or you're working with Shanahan, you know, that's going to be huge. And, you know, like I said, if you don't, you know, do the research, then everyone's going to be like Ben Johnson, just because it's like what everyone likes to talk about in the hype train, you know. But in reality, this is going to be the better fit. He knows how the Niners run things, you know, how Kyle Shanahan goes through the progression. And then on top of that, you know, with everything else, you know, that's in the article. But the bottom line is both, would be good. But, who's going to know the Seahawks better than the Niners? It's not going to be necessarily Ben Johnson. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of factors that are going to be involved. But, it's like this could be like, the hidden gem. You know what I mean? And we obviously know Dan Quinn, no. Belichick, no. Harbaugh, no. But this could be the sleeper move. Right? They said he was stupid. With the test, you're dumb. Like, you can't do it. But like I said, even if AR would have played the whole year, CJ Stroud, I think, has a little bit more. I don't want to say maturity, because I feel that AR is pretty fucking mature off the field and the way that he represents himself, off the field. Cleaning up after guys and doing stuff that other rookies wouldn't do. It's just the injury concern. But I don't think AR's numbers would be as good as CJ's. They would have been good, but he would have had probably double-digit picks compared to CJ single. And like I said, there's different types of players. One guy's built like Cam Newton. The other guy is, I'm trying to think of a comparison of CJ Stroud. I'm not sure if I really have one. I'm not sure if CJ really reminds me of anybody. CJ is kind of CJ, but it's just kind of nice to be able to see like an Ohio State quarterback actually make it. And just like Oregon, it's like Oregon and Ohio State were always criticized. Their quarterbacks weren't good enough and they couldn't make it. And it's kind of cool to see someone better than Justin Fields. But not only that, CJ Stroud looks, like a top 10 quarterback already. And pretty soon, probably going to be top 5. And it wouldn't shock me, down the road, and it could be sooner than later, CJ Stroud might be a top 3 quarterback in this league. And I don't think we can say that about AR just yet, or maybe even ever. I'm not sure if AR will ever be top 5. I'm thinking AR, if he can stay healthy, could be like a top 10, top 12, as high as maybe top 7 if he can stay healthy. But with CJ, I think the ceiling is a little bit higher with him, just based on the type of quarterback that he is. Not a runner, more of a pocket quarterback, but can run if needed, but he's not looking to run. But I wish the best success for Sarah and AR, but just the type of style of play worries me. And like I said, I was thinking that he was going to get hurt within the first 3 years. He got hurt in his rookie year, end of the season, and that's not ideal. So. Yeah, Raheem Morris has been everywhere. Yeah, I would assume some in person, some on Zoom call. And then with like Raheem Morris, I don't think I would have Raheem Morris as head coach. But if he wanted to be a coordinator, fine. Just like Dan Quinn, but again, if you're, Dan Quinn's trying to be probably head coach and whatnot. But some guys are just better off being an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. And some guys can handle the role of being an OC and a head coach, or a DC and a head coach. But it's very hard to, not only to gain the respect of your peers, but also to have the intelligence and also have leadership skills. Not everyone's going to be a grandpa out there, coaching. So, but great article, man. I'm probably going to read it again. And like I said, and that's what we need to do. You got to be able to go through like the whole history. Where did you do your high school work? Where did you work at college? What coordinator positions did you have? How did you work your way up? Where were you previously? Where you are at now? And I would say 95% or higher have no idea that he was on the staff with Kyle Shanahan. No one knows anything about him. They just, he's an OC for the Texans. That's it. That's what 99% of people know. And so it's good to be able to go deeper and Man, he's on the end and end with the Shanahan, who's the number one rival of the Seahawks. Oh, the 49ers. So he knows like the ins and the outs, and he can use that to the strategy advantage, knowing what San Fran, how he's going to get played, and also how he can attack. So we'll see what happens. But hopefully, regardless of what happens, hopefully it ends up being one of these two guys. Anything else that you guys end up wanting to see? You guys let me know what you guys want. Anything, reflect anything that you want to see photo-wise before I go. Then I got to go for another walk. This is going to be my 4th fucking walk today. But I got to make up for 35 degrees, which won't be that bad. And I love being outside with Paisley anyway. So, no, you are not. You are not ready. You some Shane McMahon. Yeah, terrible news about Seth Rollins. It sounds like he might be able to be back for WrestleMania, but I mean, I don't know if I would be pushing that. Okay, I got you. Young coaches, it's good to be able to bring someone new, someone that will have that energy and that passion. Some guys that are older, they're going to be able to do it. But you got to be able to go through that new wave. And sometimes you can get someone in their 30s, or late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, late 30s, early 40s that are going to be on another level. And it's all about being intuitive, genuine, real, and then also being ahead of the curve, bringing something to the game that hasn't been seen. And sometimes you can get that out of those new coaches, and then you might be able to figure out the next Sean McVay or the next Kyle Shanahan or the next Mike McDaniel or whatever it may be. So. Up some Husky stuff for you here before we go. I really was hoping that you guys were going to be able to get that dub, but that fucking that Michigan O-line and D-line were just way too much, and that was going to be really the deciding factor. And it shows you, you can be one of the greatest players in college football, but if you have no time to go through your progressions, there's no time for those splash plays that happen when you have time, if you don't have enough time to go through them. Unfortunate. It's still an amazing career. Still my favorite quarterback in college football this year. Michael Penix Jr. to the Vikings. Michael Penix Jr. to the Buccaneers. Michael Penix Jr. to the Hawks. Who knows where he ends up? Michael Penix Jr. to the Falcons. Yeah, I mean, but it all depends on how mature you are. You know what I mean? Like, some people are mature beyond their years. So you can still be, a young person or younger, and really be the right fit. And sometimes it's good to be able to go for a young guy that is unproven, to give him a shot to be able to make his own legacy, and to hire a recycled coach that just got fired at Vrabel and then bringing that in. I mean, is that going to bring any excitement to Seattle? Fuck no. It's going to get people pissed off and then already want him out the door once they've signed him, So, you have to also understand, like, it's more than just what the owner wants, and obviously the fan base isn't going to be able to chime in, they're going to be, oh, we need to do this. And then the owners are like, okay, we will. Like, they're going to do what they want to do. But, I think, certain guys are just not a fucking fit. And, I definitely would not be wanting Vrabel. I mean, the message got lost on that team. Can't wait to see this on Sundays. Just give that man some time. Give that man a good offensive line. Stud. Lefties are just the coolest. Right. Yeah. And also, too, you got to be able to find your guys, like Sean McVay and Puka. And if you ended up going through that draft interview and that draft process in that video where it's got McVay talking with Les and going with the GM and what they want to do. And once you're a brilliant OC or DC and you can find your guys, maybe not the most popular, but the guy that that's got the intangibles to make your system work, like Puka, you've seen what happened with Puka and Kyron with McVay. I mean, the guy's a genius. There's no reason the Rams should have made the playoffs this year. I mean, they were like, that was like 4 years ahead of schedule. There is no way that they should have made it, but they did. So. There you go. That too. Seriously, I mean, it's ridiculous. And then, like I said, if you look at those pieces, they had one of the youngest teams in the NFL. They had no business being this good this year. And like, it shows you the impact of a Sean McVay, that he literally is like one of the best coaches in the world. But once you won the Super Bowl and then had some down years, everyone didn't realize how smart McVay is. Oh, they're done. He'll never win anything or make the playoffs ever again. They're going to be terrible. They're never going to be. And then Aaron Donald's on the way out. They're not going to do anything. And then you start to see, McVay is quite brighter than people really recognize. And it's awesome to be able to see. Not necessarily awesome for Hawks fans because they took your spot, but it shows you how hard you have to work, day in and day out. And the sad thing is, you have to deal with two of the best in the same division. You got the Rams and the Niners. You got McVay and Shanahan. And can't one of them be in another division? So you have to realize, if you want to compete with McVay and Shanahan, you got to get your own McVay and Shanahan, whether that be Ben Johnson or Bobby Slowick or something like that. And that's why it's so important not to bring in a Vrabel or Belichick or fucking Dan Quinn. It's not going to work. You got to be able to be innovation. You have to bring that innovation, and just like they do. And there's not, and then you got to remember, Shanahan's and fucking Sean McVay's don't grow on trees, right? They don't. And you can get guys that can give you some kind of flash, like the Mike McDaniels, right? We've seen that he still has a long ways to go with the O-line as well as the defense, and also with Kevin O'Connell, another guy that came through the coaching tree with McVay. So, you're going to see success and you're going to see injuries, scale back. But we understand that Kevin O'Connell will get that team where they need to go, and Mike McDaniel will get the Dolphins where they need to go at some point. How long it takes, we'll have to wait and see. But sometimes getting a guy that's mentored under another guy can give the secrets. And if you can get the secrets, it's like having a dad that played, pro ball and teaching the secrets to you. Not anyone else is going to know those secrets. So, something to keep an eye on. Facts. Anything else that you guys want to be able to see before I go? Yeah, more than a freak. I mean, the guy ended up being a no-name player and played like a top 5 receiver. But it's also height, weight, hands, route running, and it's also being able to bounce off tacklers. I don't think I saw a player that bounced off tacklers better than Puka all year. Better than Tyreek, better than A.J. Brown, better than Amon-Ra, better than anybody, because he's got that body size and that strength where one guy would hit him, nope. Two guys would hit him, nope. And he would keep moving his legs. Like it's all about putting your body in the right position, but also having the physicality to take the impact and then keep going. But again, if Puka got drafted by, the Browns or the Jets, we wouldn't even have heard about him. Puka would have just been another guy that would have just got, he probably would have been fourth string receiver, probably would have barely saw the field, but, Sean McVay saw that, hey, he might be a lower name guy, but we're going to make something out of him. Played on the Huskies, went obviously to BYU, and it shows you can find gems even at BYU. You just have to be able to go through the tape. And obviously we know McVay and Shanahan go through the tape, just as good as anybody out there in the league, and they're going to find guys that work for them, and incredible job, to be able to see what they've done. And that's why Seattle, now it's more imperative now to be able to step up, because now you don't have to worry about just the Niners. You're going to have to worry about the Rams too, because they're ahead of schedule. And we need to make sure that Seattle can keep pace, with those other two teams. And we already know the Cardinals are going to be last place. They're dog shit. But the other three, it's going to be a battle year in and year out for positioning. So. Oh, baby, divisional round. I can't wait. Well, I appreciate everyone coming through and showing love. It started off a little slow, but I knew we would get the right people to come in here and make a difference. I appreciate you guys very, very much. And then Houston, Baltimore, Green Bay, San Francisco tomorrow. So as of right now, we're only going to do Green Bay, San Francisco, and then I'll do Tampa Bay, Detroit, Buffalo, and the Chiefs on Sunday. But if I end up getting, toughing it out, I might do Houston, Baltimore, but chances are I'm going to want to spend some snuggle time with Paisley, and then that'll give me time to make the thumbnail and not be burnt out, because I don't want to do both games, Houston, Baltimore, Green Bay, San Fran, and then be burnt out for Sunday. So I want to make sure that if I'm going to be doing Tampa and the Lions and then no break, and then going immediately into Buffalo, Kansas City, which will be the best game of the weekend, I want to make sure that I am not too tired out there. So, but you never know. Maybe I'll say fuck it in the morning and I'll feel good. And maybe I'll just be like, fuck it, we're going to do both. But I'll post on socials in the morning so you'll know if we're doing one or if we're doing both. So I love you guys and I appreciate you guys very, very much. Megan, read that article. I'm probably going to go back and read it again and try to find some more information about Bobby for not only myself, but for you guys as well. Reflect, thank you for the article. Megan, thank you for the Kraken information as well. And a shout out to Sarah, Reflect, Megan, Matt. I appreciate all y'all. You guys are the best. I love you, and I appreciate you very, very much. You guys are the best. Appreciate you. And we'll continue some more of the conversation, Matt, as we get into tomorrow. Hey, and you got your Taylor Swift, so everything is good. I got you. And shout out to all the people that donated, commented, shared, all the people that watched on Twitter/X. Shout out to the regulars and the goats, the mods. You guys are the best. I love you with every ounce of my being. I love you, love you, love you. And I got one question for you. Well, you don't talk sports like us. Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatic, and I'm out. Okay.